If not for that mysterious expert who intervened back then, you would have been dead long ago, Spirit Kite Douluo sneered. In her eyes, Chu Chen was still an ant, despite the whispers she'd heard from Bibi Dong about his recent feats. She assumed his victories had come from outside help. Even if he was formidable, he was only a spirit saint. Even if Senior Tian hadn't interfered before, you still wouldn't have been able to kill me. By the way, back then, I was only a spirit king. Now, speak like that to me with your strength, and you'll pay for it. Chu Chen's eyes flashed with killing intent when the old memory was mentioned. He hadn't forgotten the encirclement that day. If Di Tian had not intervened, it would have been difficult to survive. It might even have drawn the attention of the goddess of life or the god of destruction. In any case, he would not have died then, and now, years later, he was no longer the same man. Spirit Kite Douluo's own strength was terrifying, close to level 94, but Chu Chen no longer feared her. Sharp-tongued, she spat. Flames danced across Spirit Kite Douluo's fingertips. Her spirit, the blazing spirit kite, unfurled behind her with a cry, the air around them turning sweltering. Spirit Kite, don't waste yourself on them. Just bind them, Devil Bear Douluo, who was engaged with Dugubo, warned in a low voice. The four of them had not come to risk their lives needlessly. Their goal was to pin down Chu Chen and Dugubo. In Chan Renshui's Heaven Do Palace coup, they could not allow Chu Chen to escape and reinforce Chan Renshui. Chu Chen's martial soul fusion with Chuer was a terrifying variable, so they had deployed 4 titled Douluo to contain him. Even with Dugubo and the 3 spirit Douluo on site, 2 titled Douluo were dedicated to Chu Chen. But Yu Yuanjin, of the Heaven Do Imperial family, was the greatest wildcard. Since when do people from the Clear Sky sect interfere in the internal affairs of the Heaven Do Empire? Xueqing asked, standing outside the Imperial Palace, her eyes stormy. Tang Xiao stood before her, and Tang San was nearby too. Tang San had only been away a short while, but everything here had already been overturned. He had heard that no one from Shrek Academy had survived, that Tai Tan, Yang Wudi, and the others had fallen. His plan to found the Tang sect had crumbled. Chu Chen, you've destroyed everything I had. Today, I'll see Shui Qinghei's plan fail. Tang San knew of the friendship between Shui Qinghei and Chu Chen, and now that Chu Chen had risen to the Spirit Emperor realm and Tang San himself wielded the Clear Sky Hammer with 6 10,000-year spirit rings, his power was immense. He had even discarded the blue silver grass spirit as a primary combat soul, using it instead to absorb an extra 10,000-year ring to boost his physical attributes and grant 1 more spirit ability. We're here to stop you. Beside Tang Xiao stood another figure in a black robe. Shui Qinghei felt an odd familiarity and shook her head as if to deny it. She wouldn't be so reckless, she thought, but events had already reached the point where a major confrontation was inevitable. Angel wings unfurled behind Shui Qinghei, and she gripped the angel's sword. Snake Lance and Porcupine Fish Douluo surged forward to shield her, targeting Tang Xiao and the robed stranger. The 4 titled Douluo unleashed a roar of power. Tang San, Shui Qinghei said coldly, eyes on him. I will kill you with my own hands for him. Tang San and Chu Chen held a grudge. Tang San was Tang Hao's son and could not be spared in her eyes. She intended to cut the roots of resistance. She would kill Tang San. In response, Tang San triggered the angelic domain. A vast golden field of light blossomed, an angelic silhouette sweeping the sky as feathers drifted down like a deadly wind. Facing such an enemy, Tang San could not be careless. Though he was only a spirit emperor, his Clear Sky Hammer carried 6 10,000-year spirit rings. He was confident he could take them on. At the same moment, Chu Chen had commandeered his blue-silver emperor, which swelled across the battlefield in a surge of life force to support Dugubo and Yu Yuanzhen in their fights. Ye Lingling was present as well, an exceptional support spirit. The Nine-Heart Begonia had evolved into a top-tier support spirit, and Ye Lingling had reached the Spirit Emperor level. While healing, she could also provide powerful amplification. Mere blue-silver grass, how dare you block my blazing spirit kite? Spirit Kite Douluo formed her hand into a claw and struck. Flame claws tore through the air toward the blue-silver emperor, the heat scorching everything in their path. But the blue-silver emperor did not turn to ash. Great desolation scripture! Chu Chen poured all the life force within a radius of tens of thousands of meters onto himself and into the surrounding plants through the Great Desolation scripture. The nearby vegetation took on a desolate, withered look, yet that desolation shored up Chu Chen's defenses. Spirit Kite Douluo's eyes flickered with surprise. Chu Chen met her head-on. The clash of spirit techniques and martial skill, both long and close range, gave him impressive combat power. While parrying her attack with one palm, he struck with his elbow, slamming into Spirit Kite Douluo's arm. "Go to hell!" she roared, slapping out a palm wrapped in flame. Fourth spirit ability, life enhancement. Stalks of the blue-silver emperor sprang up around Chu Chen and turned ink black as the life energy shifted. Blue-silver grass, in its tougher state, proved extraordinarily resilient and absorbed Spirit Kite Douluo's palm. Seizing the opening, Chu Chen unleashed the life deprivation magnetic field and the life Hunyuan matrix, drawing on life force to detonate a life shock blast. Boom! Spirit Kite Douluo was stunned for a heartbeat, then kicked to regain her footing and repelled Chu Chen. Behind her, the blazing spirit kite spread its wings and with one thunderous beat sent waves of flame raining down. Mountain Dragon King's Spirit Bone ability, Gravity Control. Chu Chen extended his hand and warped the surrounding gravity, using spatial force to compress and distort Spirit Kite Douluo's fiery assault. The gusts of flame condensed into a single fireball, and under the effect of gravity control, it blasted back toward her. Spirit Kite Douluo stared in disbelief. Chu Chen actually possessed such precise gravity manipulation. Chapter 161. Lingyuan is severely injured. A titled Douluo is destined to fall. The attack Chu Chen reflected back with gravity control struck the unprepared Spirit Kite Douluo. She wasn't afraid of flames, but this blow. Chu Chen had compressed gravity to its limit, every wisp of volatile flame energy compressed and exploding the instant it was reflected back. Boom! The scorching blast sent Spirit Kite Douluo flying hundreds of meters. Taking advantage of the moment, Chu Chen condensed his blue-silver emperor, infusing 45 into it and transforming it into a long spear nearly identical to the Destruction Dragon Spear, then hurled it through the air. Swoosh! Spirit Kite Douluo shielded her chest with the wings of her blazing spirit kite and took the strike head-on. Her arms trembled. How could ordinary blue-silver grass possess such terrifying explosive power? Was this even blue-silver grass? How had this kid 40 Senate? Spirit Kite! Devil Bear Douluo cursed bitterly. Didn't I tell you not to go head-on with Chu Chen? This kid can't be judged by common sense. Why didn't you listen, girl? Was all your nourishment spent on everything but your brain? Devil Bear, don't worry about me. I'll kill this kid. Seventh spirit ability, Avatar of Martial Soul. Spirit Kite Douluo leapt into the sky, her lithe form transforming into a gigantic blazing spirit kite that dove to kill Chu Chen, flames erupting around her with savage ferocity. Chu Chen, be careful. Ye Lingling's worried voice came from behind him. Chu Chen felt the constant stream of healing and buffing light from her. That support had already pushed his strength into the Spirit Douluo realm. Facing a rank 94 Spirit Kite Douluo no longer weighed heavily on him. He could even afford to take risks. Seventh spirit ability, Blue-Silver True Body. Chu Chen invoked his Blue-Silver Emperor True Body, achieving 52 of the Blue-Silver domain and the Great Desolation scripture. All the vitality within a 10,000-meter radius surged into him. That power then poured through his unique Tao of life. Spirits burst forth everywhere and vegetation bloomed. This was Chu Chen's Spirit Bone skill, Myriad Spirits Surge. Life Dragon Spirit Bone skill, Myriad Spirits Surge. The life energy Chu Chen radiated in that moment was terrifying. Brilliant lights blossomed behind him and coalesced into a goddess-like figure. Even with features blurred, she was so beautiful that the world seemed to fall silent before her. Is that the power of a divinity? Chiwer watched the figure behind Chu Chen with curiosity. Ye Lingling understood. It was the divinity Chu Chen had inherited, the goddess of life. So beautiful, Ye Lingling breathed instinctively. The only life-related expert she'd ever encountered had been the Emerald Swan, but compared to the goddess of life, the Emerald Swan's power didn't even reach the same 53. Ye Lingling's mind flickered. Could her nine-heart begonia develop in the same direction? I never expected Chu Chen's power now. Dugubo laughed heartily, pride swelling in him. If Chu Chen were his grandson, he thought he'd boast about it everywhere. Boom! Chu Chen closed his hand. The life energy seemed to merge into the space itself, which solidified around him. Even facing the erupting flames of the blazing spirit kite, he maintained a decisive advantage. What? Spirit kite Douluo finally realized something was wrong. She tried to pull away, but was bound by a strand of blue-silver emperor. Chu Chen teleported to her side, golden light flared in his pupils. Dragon Roar of Destiny. This strike, erupting from the power of destiny, combined with the one, carried 36 that had already reached the titled Douluo realm. In this era, spirit masters who cultivated 36 were rare, and Spirit Kite Douluo was clearly not among them. Her eyes went vacant for a moment, and blood actually trickled from her beautiful pupils as her mind was grievously wounded, the agony unbearable. She felt the tearing pain of her 54, but still glared at Chu Chen and struck out with a palm that sent 45 fluctuations shivering through the space. She was furious. Ninth spirit ability, Blazing Sky. The black ninth spirit ring rose as the blazing spirit kite spread its wings. Endless flames poured down, a field-covering onslaught with the momentum to incinerate the heavens. The attack locked onto Chu Chen. Watching, Devil Bear Douluo, Ghost Leopard Douluo, and Chrysanthemum Douluo couldn't help but curse. Damn her! Why did she suddenly lose control? Instead of dodging, Chu Chen charged straight up. The ultimate will of destruction blossomed within him as he chose to strike Spirit Kite Douluo's true body directly. Boom! Gripping the Destruction Dragon Spear, he leaped forward, leaving a trail of light. Soft Bones Rabbit Spirit Bone Skill, Paragon Golden Body. Spirit Kite Douluo had never expected her attack to be nullified so briefly. Chu Chen took that chance, drove his spear through her shoulder, and sent her crashing to the ground. Old Poison, leave Devil Bear to me. You head to the Imperial Palace. I'll come after I deal with these few. Chu Chen's voice was decisive as he vanished and reappeared in front of Devil Bear Douluo. With the Destruction Ancient Dragon roaring behind him, he met Devil Bear's heavy strike with his spear, buying Douluo time to pull away. All right, Douluo nodded and turned to leave. Seeing Douluo depart, Chu Chen stood like a descending heavenly god, the Destruction Ancient Dragon at his back and the Destruction Dragon Spear in his hand, his power rattling the skies. Today, a titled Douluo is destined to fall. Heaven Do Imperial Palace. Boom! Chan Renshui lay heavily wounded, coughing up a great mouthful of blood. Her angelic domain had been shattered, leaving her seriously hurt. Her beautiful eyes trembled as she stared in disbelief at Tang San. This Tang San had such strange methods. When the disorder-splitting wind hammer method is being charged, one mustn't move or it will interrupt the charge. How could he? Qian Renshui's arm twitched from the hammer strike Tang San had landed. Porcupine Fish and Snake Lance rushed back to shield her. You will not succeed, Tang Xiao shouted. At that moment, Douluo descended from the sky, his arrival reversing the situation instantly. Tang Xiao, let me properly experience your clear sky hammer this time. Douluo's voice dripped with the intention to vent all his previous rage. Tang San's expression changed. Things had taken a turn for the worse. Although he had broken the angelic domain, the cost had been enormous. He had no reserves left and could no longer continue fighting. Chapter 162. You're going to catch the Destruction Dragon Spear with your head? Facing Chu Chen in this state, Devil Bear Douluo felt immense pressure. His own spirit power might only be rank 77, but his fighting strength made even a rank 94 like him very wary. Boy, what arrogant words, Devil Bear Douluo snarled. I want to see how you alone will make me fall. His aura erupted. The spirit bear transformed into a savage, enormous beast. Each step shook the space, the air itself forced aside. His breath was vigorous and overwhelming, akin to his blood-fiend mad bear spirit. In pure strength, Devil Bear Douluo surpassed what was expected of a rank 94. He could contend with rank 95 or even rank 96 opponents. Even though the plan said there's no need to kill you, today I will destroy you, he roared. The ground trembled beneath the massive bear. Facing such a tyrannical presence, Chu Chen clenched his fists and concentrated the will of destruction into something even more terrifying. Streaks of dark purple lightning blossomed around him. With a single punch, a gale rose, a blinding flash erupted. In that titanic exchange, though Chu Chen was driven back, the devil bear's massive body shuddered. Chu Chen no longer wielded the power of ultimate life. He wielded ultimate destruction, a force sufficient to annihilate everything. Though the destruction ancient dragon spirit currently had only 2 spirit rings, its prestige was undiminished. If anything, it felt stronger. The will of destruction is throbbing, Chu Chen murmured. It seems to be faintly condensing into something. He remembered the god of destruction's trial. Forge the scepter of destruction, a super divine artifact, within a year. He had tried before and always fallen short. Today, he finally felt the possibility. But condensing the scepter now would be premature, especially since he already held another super divine artifact. In his hand, the destruction dragon spear blazed with a blinding light of judgment that bleached the colors from the air. This was the attribute of silent annihilation. Domain of destruction. With the synergy of his spirit augmentations and the spear's silent annihilation, Chu Chen's combat strength skyrocketed. Though Devil Bear dwarfed him in size, Chu Chen matched him blow for blow. Devil Bear's alarm grew, a Spirit Saint Realm combatant being so ferocious. If he advanced to Spirit Douluo or became a titled Douluo, who would dare challenge him? Destruction verdict, Chu Chen shouted. He steadied the spear. The light of judgment, born of stacked will of destruction and power of destiny, descended like a heavenly blade and struck the bear. Even flesh as tough as steel was ripped open. Devil Bear Douluo screamed, but before he could respond, Chu Chen struck again. The Mountain Dragon King's spirit bone skill activated. Ultimate gravity control surged. The nearby gravity increased tenfold, then kept soaring into the dozens. Under such crushing gravity, the spear's original weight, augmented by the will of destruction, transformed into a nearly 10 million caddies force. No titled Douluo could hold against that. The Destruction Dragon Spear had always been Chu Chen's trump card. After multiple refinements and the blessing of thousands of dragon souls in the Dragon Valley Plain, it had reached the super divine artifact realm. Its edge could pierce the vault of heaven. Devil Bear, dodge! Xiaogang cried, horror on his face. He could never forget how Guimei had been killed, pierced by a single spear, leaving nothing intact. Back then, the Destruction Dragon Spear was still a lesser version. Now it was far more terrifying. The spear flew like a roaring dragon, clawing through space, tearing through everything along its path. Ninth spirit ability, mountain toppling, earth-crushing burst, the Devil Bear bellowed. Blood-red light flared from his body, the ground split, and molten rock spurted up. He surged upward, bearing that power, intending to meet the spear head-on. But even a full-strength strike from a titled Douluo lasted only an instant beneath the spear. The bear's defenses and martial soul avatar were forcibly torn apart. The Destruction Dragon Spear struck his head, and his skull exploded. Devil Bear Douluo died on the spot, his head blasted apart. This was the true power of the current Destruction Dragon Spear. When Chu Chen no longer suppressed its terror, its edge could kill a titled Douluo in a single blow. Devil Bear! Spirit Kite Douluo howled in misery. He'd told her not to be impulsive. How had he fallen in the blink of an eye? Chu Chen landed heavily, exhausted. Killing a titled Douluo in one strike had cost him. He had poured massive amounts of spirit power and spirit energy into it. Devil Bear Douluo had been weaker than Tang Xiao and the Second Elder. Dispatching him had still been easier in comparison. Chu Chen, are you all right? Chu stepped forward and instinctively took his hand. Power of destiny flowed into him, and the healing light of the Nine-Heart Begonia descended. Chu Chen's condition improved noticeably. Let's go. Of the 4 who had been so aggressive moments ago, only Xiaogang was in a slightly better position, facing 3 Spirit Douluo. Ghost Leopard Douluo was wounded by Yuanzhen's furious assault. Spirit Kite Douluo was injured. With Devil Bear dead, Ghost Leopard kicked up a blur of afterimages, scooped up Spirit Kite, and the 3 fled. They had stalled long enough. By now, the fight at the Heaven to Imperial Palace should be nearly over. Meng Shenji and the other 2 were badly injured. Though together they could fight a titled Douluo, Xiaoguang's spirit power was rank 95. Fortunately, none of the 3 had died. Chu Chen, why aren't we chasing them? Yuanzhen's eyes burned with bloodlust, itching to continue the pursuit. Chu Chen blocked him instantly. Senior, they didn't come to fight to the death. Now they're running in panic. Catching them won't be that easy. The grudge with the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon clan will be settled later, Chu Chen added. Yu Yenzin gradually calmed and nodded. Chu Chen, let's hurry to the Heaven Do Imperial Palace. My grandfather. Du Guyan stepped forward, urging. I'll go alone. Chu Chen refused to let anyone follow. Helping Qian Renshui had been, to some, an act of rebellion. It was better not to make a show of it. From a distance, Chu Chen sensed Du Gubo's aura. He was locked in battle with Tang Xiao. The two were evenly matched, and neither could gain the upper hand. Old poison, I'll give you a hand, Chu Chen declared. He condensed his spirit energy and activated his fifth spirit ability, Mental Shock, locking onto Tang Xiao. Chapter 163. The Rakshasa god's divine sense descends. Tang San heads to Sea God Island. As Tang Xiao gathered his strength to strike Du Gubo, his spirit sense suddenly trembled. In that instant, Du Gubo condensed his spirit power to the limit and unleashed a blast of jade-green energy. The black-robed figure who had arrived with Tang Xiao struck back. A pale hand pushed up from beneath the robe, erupting with brilliant force that sent Du Gubo reeling. Silence fell over the scene. Tang Xiao and the black-robed figure were already turning to leave when the Destruction Dragon Spear sliced through the air, locking onto Tang Xiao. No matter what, they had to keep another one here today. Tang Xiao felt death brush past him. His clear sky hammer expanded to a colossal 100 meters and swung out. The collision shook the entire Heaven Do Imperial Palace. Under that impact, the Destruction Dragon Spear missed its mark. With Tang Xiao and the black-robed figure fleeing, the Heaven Do Palace coup was decisively over. Qian Renshui had won. Tang San, however, had fled even before Chu Chen appeared. Indeed, he had been ready to run the moment Du Gubo showed up. Smart enough to know that staying would lead to disaster, he had chosen to leave. Chu Chen landed on the ground. Qian Renshui bit her lips so hard the blood showed. Young lord, are you all right? Snake Lance and Porcupine Fish, who had some sense of what had happened, dared not speak and simply stood by Qian Renshui's side. Chu Chen, is everything okay at the academy? Seeing Chu Chen, Du Gubo understood that matters at the Heaven Do Royal Academy had been settled. The palace coup had ended with Emperor Shuiye surrendering his political power in despair. Qian Renshui's eyes trembled, shock written all over her face. For an instant, she had recognized the black-robed figure, that woman she had always refused to acknowledge. To kill Chu Chen, that woman had allowed Qian Renshui's plan to fail. She had sabotaged Spirit Hall's 20-year scheme, and she'd appeared in person to do it. Her body shook before she forced herself to calm down. Du Gubo lowered his voice. During that clash just now, I realized that person might be Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong? With Qian Renshui's reaction, Chu Chen understood. Bibi Dong had orchestrated things to make Qian Renshui's bid to control the Heaven Do Empire fail, keeping power within her own reach. Let her be for a while, Chu Chen said, patting Du Gubo. With the matter settled, there was nothing left to stay for. Outside Heaven Do City, the black-robed figure gave Tang Xiao a cold look and left alone. Tang Xiao had no intention of following her. He headed back to the Clear Sky sect, and there met Tang San. Tang Xiao said little and departed with him. Only then did three battered figures stagger into view. Xiaogang led them, clutching a chest wound, his eyes shifty. Supreme Pontiff, he began. Where is Elder Ghost Bear? The title Supreme Pontiff confirmed the visitor's identity. Elder Ghost Bear was killed by Chu Chen, Xiaogang answered. Bibi Dong's pupils flared blood-red with fury. Spirit Hall's Elder Palace had thrown almost everything into this clash, and not only had they failed, they'd lost an elder. Useless, she roared. Tang San, who had already left with Tang Xiao, spoke later in a voice full of grief and resentment as he looked at his uncle. Uncle, is there anywhere I can quickly get stronger? Why the sudden question? Tang Xiao asked. He did not entirely approve of Tang San, but he saw his potential. The Clear Sky Hammer already carried 6 10,000-year spirit rings. Once Tang San became a titled Douluo, his power would be terrifying. With the Clear Sky sect having lost its second elder, they badly needed manpower. I want to become stronger, Tang San said, to avenge Father, Xiao Wu, and the others. Rage clouded Tang San's reason. There is a place your father and I visited once, Tang Xiao said quietly. A dangerous place, where survival is unlikely, but if you can pass its trials, you'll gain a huge boost. Tang San's eyes burned. What place? Sea God Island. Inside the Heaven Do Royal Academy, Dugubo let out a strange laugh, equal parts shock and disbelief. Are you serious? Attacking the Clear Sky Sect? He exclaimed. Going after the Clear Sky Sect was madness. Despite losing their second elder, the Clear Sky Sect still had at least 2 titled Douluo and deep reserves. There would surely be other titled Douluo within their walls. This is too dangerous. Even if you can fight a titled Douluo, the Clear Sky Sect's foundation is not simple. At the very least, be fully prepared before acting, Chu Chen said. He did not deny his desire to act. The Clear Sky Sect had once hunted him to the brink of death. He intended to take his revenge. The Clear Sky Sect's foundation is indeed formidable, Dugubo admitted. But when I condense the Scepter of Destruction, or when I reach the Spirit Douluo realm, that will be the day the Clear Sky Sect vanishes. Now that the palace coup was over, Chu Chen planned to prepare for the God of Destruction's trials. During the last battle, he had already felt the beginning of condensing the Scepter of Destruction. He intended to strike while the iron was hot and push to complete the second trial of the God of Destruction. During this time, Old Poison, remember to keep an eye on the situation at the Heaven Do Imperial Palace, Old Poison interrupted. It's still uncertain how Qian Renshui will govern the Heaven Do Empire. Far below, in the deepest sealed chamber of the Supreme Pontiff Palace in Spirit City, an evil aura filled the air and hideous spiders covered the walls. Bibi Dong lay in a pool of blood beneath them, drawing on the chamber's dark power to densify and purify her Rakshasa strength. Rakshasa God, you actually descended your divine thought in person? Bibi Dong murmured, surprised. The Rakshasa God's divine thought spoke, low and malignant. I have a method that can completely kill Chu Chen without bringing danger to us. Bibi Dong's interest flared. What is the method? She asked without hesitation. The divine thought left behind by the Rakshasa God revealed a shocking truth to Bibi Dong. Inside Slaughter City, I once hid a wisp of divine thought, it said. Its purpose was to cut off the Asura God's legacy. You succeeded. That human, Tang Chen, has become the Slaughter King. The Rakshasa God's divine thought has eroded him. His original consciousness has dissipated. Bibi Dong was silent for a long moment before she steadied herself. No wonder Tang Chen had vanished without a trace. He wasn't dead, but the outcome was even worse. So the Slaughter King is Tang Chen. How does this serve your plan? She asked. You only need to go to Slaughter City, the Rakshasa God answered. I will let another wisp of divine thought into the city. That divine thought will implant a memory into the Slaughter King's mind. If he is then sent to hunt Chu Chen, his strength will be enough to rival a rank 99. Whether he succeeds or fails, it will have nothing to do with you. The Rakshasa God explained her scheme casually. Bibi Dong hadn't expected the plan to target the Asura God and whatever force stood behind Chu Chen so directly. Are you sure the Asura God won't interfere? She asked. The Asura God? The Rakshasa God replied with quiet scorn. Do you really think the Asura God cares about Tang Chen? If he had wanted to protect him when another 35 intervened, wouldn't he already have acted? Tang Chen was merely a pawn to be discarded, but he can be used to redirect the God of Destruction's hatred toward the Asura God, letting you stay uninvolved. Bibi Dong found the proposal plausible. If she or the Rakshasa God struck at Chu Chen directly, it would almost certainly draw the attention of the 35 behind him, and that could easily go sideways. During the battle with the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan, if not for her undying body and the Rakshasa God's divine thought saving her, she would have died long ago. All right, I'll do it, she agreed. Her figure flashed from the Supreme Pontiff Palace and headed for Slaughter City. For one of the death gods, returning there was simple. Meanwhile, Chu Chen felt the will of destruction ebb away before him and frowned. Over the past days, he had plunged almost entirely into comprehending the will of destruction. His grasp of the scepter of destruction had deepened, but the closer he came, the more he felt a single step eluding him. He could not take that final leap to condense the scepter. Is my accumulation still insufficient? He muttered, as black-purple lightning gathered into a crackling ball in his hand, the oppressive stormlight eating at the surrounding space. Repeated failures made him realize he needed to stop obsessing, or he might damage his cultivation. There was still time before the trial ended, so he quieted his mind and stopped practicing for a while. For the next several days, he barely trained at all. Instead, he went with Ye Lingling and Chuer back to Dihun village. They found village chief Tig flourishing. The old man was delighted by the two girls Chu Chen had brought, smiling almost non-stop for days. "Xiao Chen, I feel younger than before," the chief chuckled. Chu Chen only smiled and didn't explain. The medicinal herbs from the ice and fire yin-yang well had steadily improved the old man's constitution. He had now reached rank 10, 32. Perhaps Chu Chen shouldn't have meddled so much in the old man's path. Dihun village was where village chief Tig had lived his whole life. Even if Chu Chen could have taken him away, the old man would have been reluctant. Still, the chief was Chu Chen's first relative in this 37, and Chu Chen had his own attachments. After a few days, the three returned to Blue Silver City. Not much there had changed. Qian Renshui had been right. The city now lay under the Heaven Do Empire's administration. Chu Chen learned from the city lord that when Crown Prince Shui Qing'e moved to reclaim Blue Silver City, he had mobilized troops and pressured the Star Luo Empire to avoid a larger war. The Star Luo Empire conceded. Nobody wanted a full-scale conflict over a small city. The place was mostly ignored, though its mineral resources were valuable. Using the bloodline power of the Blue-Silver Emperor, Chu Chen had strengthened the Blue-Silver City Lord's Blue-Silver King. They didn't linger. The three planned to return to the Heaven Do Royal Academy. "The human world is really interesting, so much more fun than the Star Do Great Forest," Chuer said, excited. The scenes along the way were unlike anything in the forest, and Chu Chen treated her to whatever delicious food she wanted. "Maybe letting myself relax for a few days helped," Chu Chen said with a laugh. "Calming down actually made my comprehension of the will of destruction deeper." "It means you were wound too tight before," Ye Lingling said, smiling. Traveling like this with Chu Chen was pleasant. Their laughter faded as the clear sky above them suddenly darkened. A streak of blood-red light cut across the gloom, unmistakable and terrifying. The air filled with the metallic tang of blood. Chu Chen frowned and signaled Ye Lingling and Chuer to take cover behind him. The streak of light slammed down a few hundred meters away. The crimson killing intent it carried felt like a viscous force that tried to bind Chu Chen's movements. That aura, could it be? Chu Chen's heart tightened. He flared his 32 to protect the two girls and released his blue-silver domain to counter the killing intent. The blood-red streak resolved into a figure whose wings unfurled like twin banners of blood. The Slaughter King stepped out, his crimson eyes radiating nothing but slaughter. Slaughter King. Chu Chen's face lost color. The Slaughter King had left Slaughter City, and it looked as if he'd come for him. "Found you," the Slaughter King hissed, grinning with a horrible smile as claws flashed with red light. He launched himself at Chu Chen, moving as if he could pierce space itself. Chu Chen shoved Ye Lingling and Chuer back with a palm strike. The Destruction Dragon Spear condensed in his hands to intercept the Slaughter King's attack. Boom! A monstrous force exploded outward. The impact sent Chu Chen hurtling backward. The strike was so powerful, his arms went numb for a moment. The Slaughter King's strength was immense, far beyond what Chu Chen had expected. 166. Recommend a new book. This is my new novel, and I'll be updating it regularly. I'd really appreciate your support. Please add it to your library and follow for updates. I'm deeply grateful to my patrons. Title: Douluo Peerless. Spirit Lei, Holy Thunder Kills Gods. It will soon enter a trial run. Benefactors, please lend a hand. Thank you. I'm kneeling and crying with gratitude. You can find it by searching the title directly. Both books will be updated steadily. Chapter 165, Bloodbath Against the King of Slaughter. The afterimage of the God of Destruction appears. With a single, casual strike, the Slaughter King made Chu Chen feel immense pressure. His strength had clearly reached level 99, nearly standing at the 41 of this continent. Such a massive gap in 34 was terrifying. Even at level 98, facing a level 99 powerhouse would mean a one-sided massacre. Not to mention the current Chu Chen. This looks like it will be another fierce battle. Chu Chen's expression hardened. This was without question the strongest opponent he had faced so far. The Slaughter King radiated a terrifying 32 and commanded the Slaughter Domain. He was lethally powerful. Go to hell! With a sinister laugh, the Slaughter King suddenly flashed forward. Sensing danger, Chu Chen hurried to defend. At the same time, the Blue-Silver Domain and the Domain of Destruction erupted together, two ultimate attributes releasing simultaneously. The Blue-Silver Emperor blossomed in Chu Chen's hand, while the Destruction Ancient Dragon coiled behind him. Both spirits had manifested at once. Boom! The impact cracked the ground beneath Chu Chen's feet and forced him backward. Only with the Blue-Silver Emperor's support could he stabilize himself. Boy, you're barely hanging on, the Slaughter King taunted. Before Chu Chen could recover, the Slaughter King struck again, giving him no opening. Blood-red claws slashed toward him, tearing through the air with a piercing sonic boom. While using the Blue-Silver Emperor to defend, a dragon phantom twined around the Destruction Dragon Spear and hurled itself at the Slaughter King. The enhancement from Chu Chen's 239 was being suppressed by the Slaughter Domain. Wherever the Slaughter King passed, everything froze. Ice condensed from 32. Slaughter Domain! Chu Chen knew this was no loquacious titled Douluo who traded words for show. In the Slaughter King's eyes, there was only slaughter. Having singled Chu Chen out, one of them would die. Get lost! Furious, Chu Chen funneled his 34 into the Destruction Dragon Spear. He shoved the Slaughter King back with a thrust and activated heavy strike control, forcing the spear's power to its limit. His pupils turned gold, and a dragon's roar echoed out. Dragon Roar of Destiny, Judgment of the Fate Dragon God. Chu Chen's 29 erupted fully, reaching its 41 under the guidance of the power of destiny. Against the Slaughter King's 32, the power of destiny served as an effective counter. Seizing a brief opening, Chu Chen fused the two energies of destruction and life into a single attack. The light of judgment swept across the Slaughter King, silent and invisible. Everything it touched was annihilated. As the Slaughter King was driven back, he noticed the surrounding plants withering into desolation. A skill that fuses the Great Desolation scripture with the Blue-Silver Domain. Desolate heaven and earth. It was a newly mastered technique. Although Chu Chen had previously combined the Blue-Silver Domain with the Great Desolation scripture, this complete 38 had produced a self-created spirit ability. It was his first time using it. Centered on Chu Chen, it spread 1,000 meters, 10,000 meters, eventually 30,000 meters. All life within that radius became absolute desolation. Vitality vanished. A force that devours life? With his strength, how could he possibly spread such a devouring force over so vast an area? The Slaughter King murmured, interest flaring. When he had slaughtered the Nirvana Heavenly Dragon Horse in Slaughter City, Chu Chen had not been his focus because of Qian Daoyu's presence. Now, however, the desolate heaven and earth, Chu Chen converted all life force in the area into a power of destruction under his control. Boom! This was the ultimate bloom of Chu Chen's two attributes at once. The will of destruction surged into the sky. At that moment, Chu Chen's own will of destruction reached its spore 41, nearly dwarfing his form. Moreover, this ultimate destruction was born from Chu Chen's own boundless life force, so it could likewise be called infinite. A majestic figure, surrounded by dark purple lightning, descended, an imposing presence that looked down on all living things, clutching a powerful destruction thunder scepter, a black robe billowing in the wind. That is... Yilingling froze. She recognized the image from the battle at the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon Clan when Chu Chen had been possessed by destruction. She had seen this figure before. This should be one of the two divinities Chu Chen told me he inherited. Joy swelled in Yilingling's beautiful eyes. Could the god of destruction have descended again? Then a voice of reason whispered, no, it wasn't an actual divinity descending. It was the manifestation of Chu Chen's will of destruction at its 41, creating that image. But still, had he triggered divinity-level power? Cold 3 poured from the Slaughter King's bloodshot eyes. He lunged suddenly, concentrating the power along his path until a heavy hammer appeared in his hand. It was the Clear Sky Hammer, transformed into a blood-colored warhammer etched with crimson patterns. Boom! A fierce, overbearing strike came crashing down from the sky, only to be met and repelled by the destruction dragon spear. With his will of destruction released, Chu Chen briefly entered a state of 41 combat power, each blow fierce and domineering. The two clashed midair. Every collision shook the heavens and cast flashes of blood-red light. Destruction verdict. The life-to-destruction conversion of desolate heaven and earth can't last long. I must hold him off and find an opportunity to take Lingling and Chiwer away, Chu Chen thought. The gap in strength was too great. Unless he fought with his life on the line, killing the Slaughter King was nearly impossible, and the king still wielded the Asura demon sword, a super divine artifact. While that weapon remained unused, Chu Chen had to fully unleash his will of destruction for all it was worth. This is the first time I've carried such a terrifying will of destruction, he breathed. Cold, 32, surged as every strike of the destruction dragon spear tore space, leaving the power of destruction lingering in the air. Bang! After hundreds of exchanges, the Slaughter King swung the blood-colored heavy hammer with both hands, summoning a storm of force. In an energy dispersion clash, he struck Chu Chen in the air again. Chu Chen took the blow and tumbled from the sky. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth, and his aura wavered. Fighting across such a vast gap in realms had been too costly. Nine-Heart Begonia. Yilingling released a healing light that instantly mended Chu Chen's wounds. Using the Destruction Dragon Spear as his fulcrum, Chu Chen charged back into the sky, man and spear becoming one, his offense like a dragon. Nirvana Heavenly Dragon Horse Spirit Bone Skills, Endless Extinction, Light of Extinction. The two Spirit Bone skills erupted from the Destruction Dragon Spear, the battle growing so fierce that sky and earth darkened. At this moment, Chu Chen was drenched in blood, but his aura remained terrifyingly strong. Facing the Slaughter King, his power amplification had been weakened, yet the force inside that blood-red heavy hammer was enormous. Every strike could shove back the Destruction Dragon Spear. Hidden within that hammer was the Asura Demon Sword. As a superior divine artifact, it was in no way inferior to the Destruction Dragon Spear. Kid, you can't keep this up much longer. The Slaughter King sent Chu Chen flying again. Blood-colored wings unfurled on his back, and a crimson aura surged like a tide, sweeping toward Chu Chen. The dense blood seemed intent on restraining him. Chu Chen did not retaliate. His will of destruction had already been more than half consumed. Though he had pushed that will to its limits, the Slaughter King's assaults still pressed down on him with overwhelming force. Boom! His eyes were calm as he condensed his will of destruction once more. Chu Chen, let me help you. Chiwer arrived at his side. Their powers of destiny resonated, and like a living ember she merged into him, golden flames burning without cease. Martial Soul Fusion Skill, Destiny Descends. Golden dragon scale armor erupted across Chu Chen's skin, and the patterns on the Destruction Dragon Spear flared, bathing the spear in brilliant gold. Instantly his aura swelled to a staggering intensity. A Martial Soul Fusion Skill? The Slaughter King frowned. From Chu Chen now came an aura that made his heart jitter. Because Chu Chen and Chiwer's compatibility for the Martial Soul Fusion skill was perfect, even while they were only in the Spirit Saint and Spirit King realms, they had surged into the titled Douluo level, and on top of that, Yilingling's healing and amplification strengthened them further. Boom! As the Martial Soul Fusion activated, Chu Chen launched himself at the Slaughter King. Two dragon shadows roared behind him, and the light of judgment erupted. On the second clash, Chu Chen's strength leapt qualitatively. The Slaughter King could no longer suppress him with brute force like before. Golden Dragon's Wrath. Chiwer's consciousness unleashed the Golden Dragon's Wrath, while Chu Chen struck with the Destruction Verdict through the Destruction Dragon Spear. The combined strike actually sent the Slaughter King's blood-colored heavy hammer flying. Bang! Chu Chen threw a punch that sent the Slaughter King hurtling. Then, using a special technique, he tossed the Destruction Dragon Spear, and a seven-colored light blossomed in his hand. It was a divine artifact. As it manifested, space behind Chu Chen seemed to shatter. He linked to the Dragon Valley Plain, and the power of thousands of dragon souls poured into the spear. A blow charged with the might of those dragons and the power of faith. Roar! A dragon's cry split the sky, and with the spear's impact, the figure before him disappeared. Chu Chen watched as the Slaughter King staggered out of the smoke. The heavy blood crystals along his hammer had faded, reforming into a large blood-red sword banded with black and red, the Asura demon sword. "Kid, you have some skill!" The Slaughter King grinned hideously and became more ferocious. Each of his strikes now carried the ruthless force of Asura. "Chu Chen, what is this power?" Chuer felt a chill as the killing intent radiating from the Asura demon sword washed over her. She warned silently. "This is the power of the Asura god," Chu Chen replied inwardly. He vanished from midair and reappeared by Ye Lingling's side. "Lingling, don't leave my side. We'll fight him together." "All right," Ye Lingling nodded. Facing the Slaughter King wielding the Asura demon sword, the Destruction Dragon Spear, itself a super divine artifact, hummed violently, clearly in deep aversion to the Asura blade. Boom! A blood-red swordlight tore through the sky, a deadly strike from the Asura demon sword, laden with a killing intent meant to finish its target. Chu Chen prepared to block it head-on with the Destruction Dragon Spear when space in front of him rippled. A slender, jade-like hand pushed out and deflected the swordlight with a thunderous clang. A white jade foot stepped through the rift and a graceful figure landed before Chu Chen. Silver hair streamed, her eyes bright with killing intent. "Gu Yue, you." Chu Chen blinked in surprise at the appearance of the Silver Dragon King. "I sense the aura of the Asura god near you," the Silver Dragon King said calmly. She glanced around, her purple pupils shimmering faintly. "Are you all right?" Chu Chen shook his head. The Silver Dragon King's expression drained of warmth, replaced by a hard, cold fury. She moved toward the Slaughter King, and a brilliant silver light bloomed from her. With each step, her dragon prestige flared. Wind, water, thunder, and space seemed to align around her. Silver radiance coalesced at her fingertips and shot out like a fine thread. Swoosh! The silver thread sliced through space and struck the Asura demon sword. What had seemed like a casual strike snapped the Slaughter King back over 100 meters. "Where did this damn woman come from?" The Slaughter King spat, his expression flickering. This woman's strength was terrifying. "The aura of the Asura god is as foul as ever," the Silver Dragon King said coldly. She took a light step and space trembled. In the next instant, she was beside the Slaughter King. A silver-long spear condensed in her hand, and she thrust, slicing through the void. "Is that the Silver Dragon Spear?" Chu Chen recognized the divine artifact in her grip. In her hands, the spear's lethality had been unleashed, becoming truly fearsome. Boom! Chu Chen prepared to strike, but something else caught him, the faint presence of the Scepter of Destruction. After merging with Chuer, his own will of destruction had shattered previous limits and reached a height he'd never known before. Scepter of Destruction. Chu Chen felt his fist tighten. Black-purple destructive lightning cascaded from the sky, forming a spectral image, the Scepter of Destruction. It was not yet whole, it still needed to be condensed. "Leave him to me." The Silver Dragon King's voice was sudden and resolute. She had noticed Chu Chen's exhausted state and come to relieve him, and her hatred for anything touched by the Asura god had reached a peak. Even if the man before her was only tinged by the Asura god's influence, she could not stand by, especially after he had harmed Chu Chen. Elemental Storm. Control. Chapter 67. The Scepter of Destruction. Condensed. The King of Slaughter retreats. The Silver Dragon King's fighting style left the Slaughter King unable to react for a moment. She commanded the elements with near-perfect control, not just for offense, but to strengthen herself as well. With the Silver Dragon Spear in hand, her strength had been pushed to its limit, and her injuries had already recovered by more than half. Her power was now genuinely comparable to a level 99 titled Douluo. Such a beautiful woman, why not come back to Slaughter City with me? Even facing such a swift, brutal assault, a look of base greed flickered across the Slaughter King's face. If he could have his way, he'd toy with her for a while. Roar! Excited by the thought, the Slaughter King erupted in a surge of blood-red energy. His Asura demon sword met the Silver Dragon Spear with a thunderous clash, but the Silver Dragon King suddenly vanished from sight. Using spatial element control, she reappeared behind him. Her slender, jade-like hand struck with a calm precision that made space itself tremble. Boom! The Slaughter King was sent flying. Those greedy words had crystallized a layer of frost in the Silver Dragon King's beautiful eyes. She thrust the silver dragon spear forward, and a dragon shadow roared. An illusory dragon shadow rose behind her, swinging its claws at the Slaughter King. The two forces collided and split into streaks of light that tore across the sky. Brilliant silver radiance burst from her delicate form as a massive dragon shadow, hundreds of meters long, descended to join the assault. She used every element at her disposal: thunder, fire, space, darkness, wielding them at absolute peak. Slaughter judgment! The Slaughter King's voice sounded like a cry from the underworld as his killing intent condensed into a physical force that spread outward. The Silver Dragon King teleported aside to avoid the strike. Then, from high above, her spear unleashed a dazzling dragon shadow that slashed the Slaughter King down toward the ground. Boom! He crashed hard. Silver Dragon King stood over him, the silver dragon spear in hand, her frost-filled eyes cold and disdainful. She glanced to the side and saw Chu Chen still condensing the scepter of destruction. Without hesitation, she channeled another massive surge of power and descended like a silver streak of light, unmatched in dominance. The Slaughter King was struck again and howled, cursing, "This damned woman! Where did she come from? How can she have such terrifying strength? Nanaje, I'll buff you." Ye Lingling's timely 9-heart begonia support flowed to the Silver Dragon King. The Silver Dragon King gave Ye Lingling a gentle smile. Throughout the battle, she had been watching over Ye Lingling to keep the Slaughter King from harming her. With their cooperation, the Slaughter King was battered and humiliated. His strength, once overwhelming, was now barely enough to hold his ground. Just a little more. The will of destruction in Chu Chen's hands had reached its limit. The scepter of destruction was forming, about to materialize as a true artifact. "Chu Chen, I can feel it, just a little more." Chuer's voice urged in his mind. Chu Chen hesitated only briefly, then poured everything he had into his hands, every ounce of his 24. The will of destruction nearly overflowed from him, but under the combined effort of Chu Chen and Chuer, it finally became controllable. A wisp of dark purple lightning flickered, and the once clear sky darkened. Clouds rolled in and coalesced into veins of dark purple lightning that crashed down over the battlefield. Boom! At their peak, Chu Chen and Chuer's will of destruction erupted into form, and the destruction ancient dragon avatar descended. Chu Chen stood at the center of the power, and his golden dragon armor shimmered. In his hand appeared a scepter crackling with dark purple lightning, wrapped in the will of destruction. System: Chu Chen, you have completed the second God trial of the God of Destruction. God King compatibility increased by 10%, obtained 1-4, and 24D increased by 1 level. System: your current God King compatibility is 15%. System: the third God trial of the God of Destruction legacy has arrived. Within 1 year, apply 25s to your 2nd through 7th slots. Each must be no less than 200,000 years old. Chu Chen went blank for a moment. Where on earth was he supposed to find 4 200,000-year spirit beasts, let alone ones compatible with his destruction ancient dragon? The headache came on fast, but there was no time for that now. With his 24 at level 78, he gripped 2 super divine artifacts and rose into the air ahead, swinging the newly formed scepter of destruction. Shh! Destructive lightning tore through the air and lashed toward the Slaughter King. Taking advantage of the opening, Chu Chen teleported in, and his destruction dragon spear coordinated with the Silver Dragon King's silver spear. The 2 spears moved in perfect harmony, striking the Slaughter King with a relentless barrage. Meanwhile, the scepter of destruction hovered, radiating powerful shockwaves, destructive pulses akin to a soul shock, capable of withering and eroding consciousness. Ah! The Slaughter King's already fragile mind took another strike. He began to falter, and his attacks fell into disarray. He had been struggling to withstand the Silver Dragon King's onslaught, and Chu Chen's sudden arrival only compounded his peril. The Slaughter King was forced to retreat. One attack even pierced his chest. Silver Dragon King pulled back her spear, and she and Chu Chen exchanged a quick look before their dragon spears resonated. The 2 weapons almost fused as they launched together. Boom! The Slaughter King could only cross the Asura demon sword over his chest to block, but the combined force cut through him again. Bloodlight shot into the sky as he was grievously wounded. Seizing the brief flash, he fled the battlefield entirely, leaving behind a devastation of broken earth. Chu Chen lowered his super-divine artifacts and ended the spirit fusion with Chuer. Chuer was exhausted, but Ye Lingling supported her. "Thank you, Guyu." Chu Chen and the others approached the Silver Dragon King and spoke softly. "You are a permanent friend of our Soul Beast clan and important to me. I will not let anything happen to you." The Silver Dragon King's gaze dropped toward Chuer. Chuer froze. "Oh no, I snuck out, and now the Elder has found me. I'm probably going to be taken back." "That? I can explain," Chuer protested, blinking her big eyes with a look of wounded innocence. Silver Dragon King sighed and relented. "If you want to follow Chu Chen, then follow him. After all, if you two run into danger, even if I cannot come, Di Tian will be able to sense it." Chuer's mood brightened instantly. She took the Silver Dragon King's hand and skipped happily. Since they were still some distance from Heaven-Do City, the Silver Dragon King used her spatial traversal to take Chu Chen and the others straight back to Heaven-Do Royal Academy. "Guyue, you can stay and experience the human world too," Chu Chen said with a smile, inviting the Silver Dragon King. She hesitated a moment and then declined. Her identity was delicate, and the God Realm kept a constant watch on the Douluo continent. If she wandered about freely, she might attract unwanted attention. It was safer to remain in the Star-Do Great Forest. "Master, the human world is so much fun," Chuer giggled. "If I get the chance, I'll come visit." The Silver Dragon King murmured her farewells, her gaze lingering on Chu Chen. "Take care. See you next time. See you next time." As she left, a deep voice suddenly echoed in Chu Chen's mind. Clear, cold, unmistakably the god of destruction. "Chu Chen, the task for your third trial has changed. Within 1 year, destroy Slaughter City. The assessment rewards remain the same." Chu Chen froze. "Are god trials this casual now? They can just change the assessment like that?" He responded mentally, "Senior, isn't that a bit sudden? My god trial should be my choice." There was no answer. The god of destruction's words hung in the air, leaving Chu Chen bewildered and a little indignant. It felt like the god of destruction was using his position to settle a personal grudge. But Chu Chen couldn't see how he, personally, had any feud with the Slaughter King, certainly not enough to warrant being ordered to raise a city. Maybe the Asura god was manipulating things behind the scenes, he thought. In the God Realm's committee halls, the god of destruction passed by the Asura god with a darkened expression, a glint of killing intent flashing across his face. The Asura god, also a god king, felt it and grew suspicious. Had he provoked the god of destruction recently? His interference in the Douluo continent? That didn't fit. If the god of destruction suspected him, he would have been called out directly. So the Asura god retreated to his palace and used divine sense to probe. "Damn," the Asura god swore. "That Rakshasa god. She's plotting against me. But that Tang Chen is useless. No wonder the god of destruction glares at me." Meanwhile, in the god of destruction's own palace, he mused. "Rakshasa god, if I truly wished, I would have destroyed you long ago. But there's an advantage to keeping you around for Chu Chen to deal with. Let Chu Chen go and dismantle the Asura god's legacy site." So the reason Chu Chen's trial had been altered was exactly that, a public post used to settle a private grudge. The Rakshasa god thought she had orchestrated everything perfectly, unaware that the god of destruction was treating her as a whetstone to sharpen Chu Chen into godhood. Chu Chen swore silently. Heaven-Do Imperial Palace, no longer an imperial home in the old sense, since Qian Renshui had taken control of the Heaven-Do Empire and dissolved the old royal family, felt strangely orderly. On the surface, life in Heaven-Do City hadn't changed. The public story was that Emperor Shuiye had died of an illness and Shui Qinghe had succeeded him. Inside the palace, Chu Chen and Dugu Bo sat across from Qian Renshui, Porcupine Fish, and Snake Lance. Dugu Bo was alarmed when he learned that the Slaughter King was hunting Chu Chen. Fortunately, nothing had happened to Chu Chen yet. "The Slaughter King wouldn't leave Slaughter City to hunt you for no reason," Qian Renshui mused. "Maybe someone else is involved." Chu Chen agreed internally. For now, destroying Slaughter City had become the new assessment requirement, so perhaps once he broke through to Spirit Douluo, it would mark Slaughter City's downfall. Before then, He needed to master the scepter of destruction and figure out how to recover the missing pieces for the destruction ancient dragon. He still had one fragment he hadn't absorbed. "If you need help, tell me," Qian Renshui said earnestly. "I wouldn't be where I am without your and Douluo's help. I'd like to invite both of you to serve as members of the highest administration of the Heaven Do Empire," she continued. "If serious matters arise, we'll decide together. What do you think?" Douluo was surprised but pleased. Whatever grudges he had once held had eased. Qian Renshui had managed the empire well enough that he trusted her judgment. He knew Chu Chen aimed to unify the entire Douluo continent. Given his strength, that seemed achievable, so Douluo reluctantly agreed. Chu Chen declined to refuse as well. That night, Qian Renshui asked Chu Chen to meet her alone in a quiet back garden of the palace. The place was peaceful, an easy setting for private conversation. "I followed your suggestion and contacted several sects quietly," she said. Only the Wind Sword sect responded. The other three were likely won over by Bibi Dong. Chu Chen fell silent. There had been little he could do. "I won't give in to her. Bibi Dong, I'll prove I can manage the spirit hall better," Qian Renshui said stubbornly. Then she looked at Chu Chen with a serious, even mysterious expression. "Chu Chen, I want to hand over the highest administrative authority of the Heaven Do Empire to you." He blinked. "Become the ruler?" He stared at her, incredulous. "My grandfather was pleased with the success of my plan, but he hopes I won't remain here managing the empire. He wants me to return to pursue godhood," Qian Renshui explained, laughing as she recounted recent events. "After thinking it over, I decided I can entrust you with running things. You'll be covered publicly by my identity as Shui Qinghe, so you won't have to worry. You have your own path to godhood to pursue." Relieved to unburden herself of imperial responsibilities, Qian Renshui looked lighter. Her next goal was clear, becoming a god, perhaps even to catch up with Chu Chen's footsteps. "I know you want to unify the Douluo continent. I support you," she added, her voice firm. "But the Spirit Hall's foundation cannot be broken. After the continent is unified, I don't want to see Spirit Hall disappear." Chapter 169. Absorbing the Divine Soul Ring, Attacking the Haotian Sect. After his conversation with Qian Renshui, Chu Chen returned to the Heaven Do Royal Academy. Having trained outside for so many years, he never expected to one day regard this place as a sanctuary that put his mind at ease. There were even people who wanted to nominate him as dean, an offer he naturally refused. "Time to start absorbing this spirit ring. With my current condition, aiming for a 200,000-year ring shouldn't be a problem," he murmured. Chu Chen released the power of the spirit in his possession. His second spirit, the destruction ancient dragon, finally welcomed its third spirit ring. Several hours later, a bright red ring finished condensing, an extraordinary 250,000-year spirit ring. The new ring pushed Chu Chen's spirit power to another breakthrough, catapulting him straight into rank 79. He was now only one step away from the Spirit Douluo realm. "Finally, I'm about to step into the Spirit Douluo realm," he thought. Even while night ran deep, Chu Chen did not relax. His consciousness sank again into his sea of consciousness, where the goddess of life awaited, still bearing that cold, murderous countenance. If Chu Chen had known that the goddess of life before him was actually the god of destruction in disguise, he probably would have cursed her out. Instead, he only reflected, "Although the goddess of life's trials are perverse, my soul is growing stronger through constant destruction and reconstruction." It wasn't only his soul improving. Under a God-King level trial, his physical body had also undergone a qualitative leap. Chu Chen realized that this trial's purpose was not to be resisted. He should use it to complete a true transformation of himself, reach the true peak. "Now that I've condensed the scepter of destruction and my spirit power has stabilized at rank 79, it's time," he stood, eyes glittering, "to settle some scores with certain fellows." He left the academy and found Douluo. Douluo was guiding Douguyan's cultivation. Douguyan's spirit power was on the verge of rank 60, the most critical moment. "Nothing good ever happens when you come looking for me, kid," Douluo teased when he saw Chu Chen. Chu Chen pursed his lips. "Come with me to the Clear Sky sect. If Tang San's still there, I'll kill him. If he isn't, I'll destroy the Clear Sky sect." "The Clear Sky sect?" Dugubo waved his hand without hesitation. Let's do it. Why wouldn't we? Damn straight. I'll make those bastards from the Clear Sky sect pay. Chu Chen wasn't taking only Dugubo. Qian Renshui, after hearing the plan, sent Snake Lance and Porcupine Fish to assist. Chu Chen's side now boasted the combat power of 4 titled Douluo. The Clear Sky sect had long been a thorn in Qian Renshui's plans, and Tang Xiao's interference had nearly ruined her scheme. She wanted nothing more than to see the sect destroyed. Chu Chen, the Clear Sky sect currently has 5 titled Douluo, including Tang Xiao. They might also have some special trump cards, Qian Renshui warned as she appeared beside them. So I plan to travel with you. I brought a helper, she added. Standing near her, subduing demon Douluo looked at Chu Chen with thinly veiled hostility. You are Chu Chen? He asked coldly. If you have something to say it. Chu Chen heard the disdain in subduing demon Douluo's tone and had no intention of giving him face. Subduing demon Douluo was about to lose his temper, only to be shot down by Qian Renshui's glare. Qian Renshui's expression changed when she looked at the blonde girl at Chu Chen's side. As far as Qian Renshui was concerned, she was exceptionally beautiful, but facing Chiwer, she felt an uncharacteristic twinge of insecurity. How on earth does she have such a beautiful face? In truth, Chiwer's human appearance had been crafted from memory, drawing on the features of the Silver Dragon King, the Emerald Swan, Ye Lingling, and others, and then perfected by her own design. If she could customize her face, of course she'd make it beautiful. While still some distance from the Clear Sky sect, Chu Chen condensed the Destruction Dragon Spear and began gathering spirit power. What are you doing? Dugubo asked. Charging up my skills first. Once we reach the Clear Sky sect, I'll just throw them, Chu Chen said casually. Everyone else stared. That was a shameless tactic, charging skills mid-flight and throwing them as soon as they arrived. Dugubo could only shake his head and wonder at this new dirty trick. Chu Chen stacked his buffs. The Destruction Lightning, the will of destruction, ran through him under his absolute control, growing ever brighter. Mountain Dragon King Spirit Bone Skill, Gravity Control, he intoned. Domain of Destruction. Even before they reached the Clear Sky sect, Chu Chen had gathered an armory of enhancements. The Destruction Dragon Spear began to hum violently, dragon silhouettes circling the sky as the weapon thrummed, energy peaking to its extreme. What a terrifying weapon. I don't think an ordinary titled Douluo could block that, subduing demon Douluo muttered, feeling his eyelids twitch. Old poison, stop daydreaming and charge up your skills with me, Chu Chen urged. A moment later, they appeared in the sky above the mountain range where the Clear Sky sect was nested. The surrounding space felt viscous, almost solid, as Chu Chen held the Destruction Dragon Spear and the Will of Destruction soaked the air. Boom! He unleashed the spear. It fell from the heavens like a world-shattering column of light, a flash of brilliance that slammed directly toward the Clear Sky sect's mountain gate. Several of the Clear Sky sect's spirit masters patrolling outside sensed the fluctuations and tried to form a defensive formation, brandishing their Clear Sky hammers. Puff! Blood sprayed across the sky as over a dozen of the sect's spirit masters were blasted into mist, reduced to blood and vapor. Even Spirit Emperor-level experts were without exception torn to pieces. With a thunderous crash, the Destruction Dragon Spear pierced the heavy mountain gate. A terrifying will of destruction blossomed instantly, whipping a storm of annihilation through the Clear Sky sect. The earth shook, the mountains quivered. Chu Chen raised his hand to recall the Destruction Dragon Spear. In the next instant, Tang Xiao and the 4 remaining elders of the Clear Sky sect arrived. Tang Xiao's eyelids twitched. He hadn't expected Chu Chen to brazenly strike straight into the sect. Chu Chen, you dare attack my Clear Sky sect? Are you seeking death? The blazing sun Douluo boomed. It is indeed seeking death. Only you will die, Chu Chen replied with a light laugh, then surged forward at Tang Xiao and the others with the Destruction Dragon Spear in hand. Chapter 170. Chu Chen kills Tang Xiao. Seeing Chu Chen actually charge into the Clear Sky sect alone, Tang Xiao felt a chill. This man had already brought the sect grievous losses. How could he be so reckless? Did he possess some hidden trump card and feel no fear? Or was there something else at work? Boom! The clouds tore apart. The seraphim martial soul bloomed in a glare of golden light. Qian Renshui drew the angel sword and a golden blade of light slashed down. Under the radiance of the seraphim, the four-titled Douluo reacted at once. In terms of realm, Douluo was probably even a touch stronger than subduing demon Douluo. Their two martial souls, the jade phosphor serpent and the coiling dragon rod, descended. Douluo and subduing demon Douluo were both at the 97th level, while the strongest among the Clear Sky sect, Tang Xiao, was only at the 96th level. Seeing such a grand lineup, Tang Xiao's heart sank. Spirit Hall. Tang Xiao was stunned. That damn Bibi Dong. I even agreed to cooperate with her. Until this moment, Tang Xiao still suspected Bibi Dong's hand in this. He knew Qian Renshui and Bibi Dong had a fraught relationship, but if Qian Renshui had been allowed to mobilize Spirit Hall's strength against the Clear Sky sect, Bibi Dong would surely have interfered. If Qian Renshui could act unchecked, the balance would be broken. Boom. Elders, form the Clear Sky formation. Tang Xiao and the other four elders took their positions. Along with the many Clear Sky sect disciples below, they poured out their spirit power to condense a massive formation. Under its activation, a giant hammer spanning heaven and earth condensed and smashed down toward Chu Chen and the others. A formation condensed by 5 titled Douluo, its force was terrifying. Chu Chen, Qian Renshui, and Douluo all moved at once. Blue-silver domain, domain of destruction. Despair domain, angelic domain. The 4 domains' amplification instantly boosted the strength of Chu Chen's side. Subduing demon Douluo, Douluo, and the others met the supreme impact of the Clear Sky formation. Qian Renshui and Chuer moved to deal with the sect's disciples. Watch mine, tool avatar of the martial soul. The massive coiling dragon rod smashed upward. It collided with the colossal Clear Sky hammer with a thunderous crash. The entire mountain range trembled. Subduing demon Douluo's attack was repelled, and he himself was injured. The Clear Sky formation, controlled by 5 titled Douluo, was indeed formidable, but its weakness was that such an attack took a long time to condense. 9th Spirit Ability, Salvation of All Living Beings. Subduing demon Douluo unleashed his 9th Spirit Ability. The sky changed in an instant. Several long dragons coiled high above, and a massive coiling dragon rod descended with an oppressive force that suppressed everything. It slammed down. Medusa's skull bone skill, Medusa's gaze. Douluo saw that the Clear Sky hammer released by Tang Xiao and the others was not a simple enlargement of their own weapons, but an energetic impact. Since it was energy, his spirit bone skill, Medusa's gaze, could petrify it. Sure enough, when Medusa's gaze hit the colossal formation, a petrification mark appeared at its center. Not good! Tang Xiao frantically pushed his power again, trying to break the petrifying restraint. Porcupine Fish and Snake Lance unleashed their martial soul avatars to guard the flanks. Chuer, give me a hand, Chu Chen said to Chuer at his side. She nodded and transformed into a brilliant golden light that merged into Chu Chen's body. Martial soul fusion skill, Destiny Descends. Qian Renshui stared dumbfounded when she saw Chu Chen wearing the golden dragon armor. It seemed to be the first time she'd seen Chu Chen and Chuer achieve a full 100% martial soul fusion. The power was incomparable. Its suppressive force was already comparable to a titled Douluo. Scepter of Destruction. Amid black-purple lightning, the Scepter of Destruction manifested. Chu Chen held it. Behind him, a towering figure loomed, as if he had become the dominator of the world. With every swing of the scepter, destructive force erupted, shaking the surrounding space. This time, Chu Chen did not use the Destruction Dragon Spear. The Scepter of Destruction was a super-divine artifact, no weaker than the spear. The ultimate will of destruction sprouted between heaven and earth, then flowed like a spiritual current around Chu Chen's body. It changed with peculiar jumps before finally merging into the scepter, condensing into a sun of destruction in the air. Rumble, the black-purple sun fell from the sky. So this is Chu Chen and Chuer's martial soul fusion. Why can't the Seraphim martial soul fuse with his? Qian Renshui wondered inwardly. Sect Master, if this continues, the Clear Sky formation won't hold. Blazing Sun Douluo shouted, Damn it! Tang Xiao gritted his teeth and shouted to the 4 elders. 4 elders, maintain the formation. I'll break their offensive. Clear Sky 9 absolutes. Tang Xiao swung his Clear Sky 9 absolutes in rapid succession. Each hammer blow stacked until it finally burst. A dark light surrounded him as he slammed a hammer toward the sky. Boom! As Tang Xiao acted, Chu Chen released his offensive. The black-purple sun collided with the clear sky hammer. With a deafening impact, everything was annihilated. When the energy storm cleared, Tang Xiao's blood-covered body fell from the sky. He couldn't even hold the clear sky hammer. It dropped to the ground first. Chu Chen watched him coldly, then retracted the scepter of destruction and quickly seized the destruction dragon spear, closing on Tang Xiao with continuous teleportation. Chi! The tearing of space was the only sound. Tang Xiao sensed death and fought wildly, activating his ninth spirit ability and his martial soul avatar together. He had poured everything into this single hammer blow. But Chu Chen did not retreat. Soft Bone's Rabbit Spirit Bone skill, Paragon Golden Body. In the Paragon Golden Body state, Chu Chen did not dodge Tang Xiao's attack. He took the hammer blow head-on. Then he drove the Destruction Dragon Spear straight through Tang Xiao's chest, pinning him to the ground. "You," Tang Xiao spat a mouthful of blood, unable to speak. "Die." Chu Chen withdrew the spear. The will of destruction instantly ruptured Tang Xiao's heart vessels. After a final struggle, he stopped moving. With that, the current sect master of the Clear Sky sect had been slain by Chu Chen. A wave of despair swept through the Clear Sky sect. Sect master! When Tang Xiao fell beneath Chu Chen's blade, the eyes of the four remaining, Blazing Sun Douluo among them, flashed red with fury. If even Tang Xiao, the strongest of them, could be cut down so easily, how could they hope to withstand this onslaught? Subduing Demon Douluo stared in stunned disbelief. A martial soul fusion between a spirit saint and a spirit king could actually kill a titled Douluo. Without Tang Xiao, the Clear Sky formation, now held by only 4 titled Douluos, had lost its edge. Its collapse was only a matter of time. "Chu Chen, let me take over," Chuer's playful voice echoed in his head. Chu Chen relaxed his mind and body, yielding control to her in their fused state. Chuer could mobilize their full power. Under the watching eyes of Qian Renshui and the others, Chu Chen, still holding the Destruction Dragon Spear, leapt high. Qian Renshui and Douluo moved to cover him as he charged. Brilliant golden light burst from Chu Chen, and behind him a golden dragon tore open space itself. Its massive claw descended along with the strike of the Destruction Dragon Spear. When Chu Chen took the lead, he drew on the Destruction Ancient Dragon. When Chuer took control, she unleashed the Golden Dragon. The Clear Sky formation staggered. The formation tried to retaliate. A hammer of condensed energy fell from the sky, smashing down toward Chu Chen. "Golden Dragon's protection," he said calmly. Pure golden light spread over his skin like scales. The Golden Dragon, ancestor of strength, not only granted devastating offense, it granted near-impervious defense. Dodging the worst of the blow, Chu Chen flung the Destruction Dragon Spear from his hand. "Chuer, you use this spear well," he praised. In truth, Chuer did not possess a Golden Dragon Spear now. The real one still lay in the God Realm. Chu Chen made a note to himself. If he could return to the ice and fire yin-yang wang well and use the old method, perhaps he could briefly materialize a spear for Chuer, since she carried the Golden Dragon bloodline. In their fused state, she couldn't wield the Scepter of Destruction. She could only handle the Destruction Dragon Spear. And Chuer was more than his tool. She fought with her own will. A proper weapon was necessary. Douluo's eyes narrowed. They can't hold much longer. Break the formation. He unleashed a massive jade phosphor serpent that plunged down like a green beam and struck the Clear Sky formation. The explosion shook the heavens. Cracks spidered through the barrier. It was about to shatter. Chuer surged to the fore. Chu Chen poured out his power, erupting into a full-fledged golden dragon. Its claws raked through the air, tearing everything in their path. "Not good," Blazing Sun Douluo bellowed. With the formation failing, he gripped his twin Clear Sky hammers and activated his Clear Sky avatar, soaring to meet Chu Chen. But even fully manifested, he was no match. With the ancestor of strength at his command, Chu Chen's might was monstrous. Blazing Sun Douluo was hurled back. Seizing the chance, Chu Chen struck again, a palm blow to send him flying while the Destruction Dragon Spear flashed in his other hand. The spear slashed in a clean, brutal arc and cut across the Douluo's throat. He gasped one last helpless hiss. His windpipe opened, blood spraying across the sky. Had the blow been even a fraction more precise, it would have cleaved the skull. Another titled Douluo of the Clear Sky sect fell. The martial soul fusion reached its limit. Chiwa reemerged, and control over the destruction dragon spear slipped away. They only have 3 titled Douluos left. Finish them, Chu Chen said with icy calm. The battle was decided. The remaining 3 titled Douluos had never exceeded rank 95. On Chu Chen's side, both Dugubo and Subduing Demon Douluo stood at rank 97. When has my Clear Sky sect ever been so humiliated? One of the remaining titled Douluos roared, despair and fury in his voice. If Tang Chen had still been alive, if Tang San had been here, would things have come to this? Chu Chen walked up to Qian Renshui. Have you seen Tang San? No, she replied, unless he slipped away or he never belonged to the Clear Sky sect to begin with. It was the answer he expected. Chu Chen suspected Tang San had already set off for Sea God Island, perhaps even by fate. With the Sea God and the Asura God plotting behind the scenes, Tang San's going to Sea God Island seemed inevitable, one to inherit the Sea God, the other to become High Priestess. The rest, Dai Mubai and the others, were little more than accessories. No more time was wasted. Dugubo, Subduing Demon Douluo, Snake Lance, and Porcupine Fish converged and cut down the remaining 3 titled Douluos. One chose a noble but desperate route, self-detonation in hopes of taking an enemy with him. Chu Chen used teleportation and his Paragon Golden Body to shield Dugubo from the blast. Subduing Demon Douluo cut another down. One remained. Chu Chen confronted him. Where did Tang San go? Silent, the man refused to answer. Chu Chen's hand rose and fell. The destruction dragon spear drove through his chest. He crumpled, dead. With all the titled Doulos slaughtered, the Clear Sky sect's lower-level cultivators could no longer resist. Those who tried were cut down without mercy. In a matter of moments, the Clear Sky sect as a power was finished. It's settled, Chu Chen declared. No need to kill the elderly, the weak, the sick, or the disabled. Without its top experts, the Clear Sky sect no longer exists. An older cultivator spat indignantly, complaining that they had been given no chance to speak. But before the words mattered, a golden figure descended from the sky, angelic light blooming behind him. Chan Daoliu had arrived. Grandfather! Qian Renshui stared in disbelief when she saw Chan Daoliu. She hadn't expected him to come to the ruins of the Clear Sky sect. The Subduing Demon Douluo bowed hurriedly. Chan Daoliu inclined his head in response, then cast a long, appraising look down over the shattered remains of the sect. His face betrayed little emotion, but a trace of nostalgia flickered in his eyes. He and Tang Chen had once stood for Spirit Hall and the Clear Sky sect, clashing openly and in secret countless times. Now, Tang Chen had become something neither fully human nor ghost, and the Clear Sky sect lay in ruins. Tang Chen, in the end, I won, Qian Daoliu said softly, relief and regret braided together. He cleared his throat and turned his attention to Snake Lance and Porcupine Fish. From this day forward, the 2 of you are members of my Elder Hall. For now, you will be probationary members. Once your strength is sufficient, you will become full priests. Excitement lit their faces. They knew the Elder Hall represented the highest honor in Spirit Hall, far superior to being mere subordinates under Bibi Dong. Even as junior members, it was a promotion they could not have dreamed of. Thank you, High Priest, they said in unison, cupping their fists in salute. Qian Daoliu then looked to Dugubo, standing near Chu Chen. Poison Douluo, would you be willing to join my Elder Hall? With your strength, you'd be fit to become a priest at once. Dugubo had not expected the invitation. He shook his head. I appreciate the offer, High Priest, but this old man has decided to stay by this young man's side. So it's not convenient for me to accept, he added. Chu Chen suppressed a wry smile. You just had to pull me into this, you old coot. Qian Daoliu made no show of anger. With a wave of his hand, a golden current gathered and swept Chu Chen aside, leaving the others blinking in surprise. Younger Shui entrusted the governance of the Heaven Do Empire to you, did she not? Qian Daoliu asked calmly, hands folded behind his back. Yes, she's chosen the path of legacy, Chu Chen replied evenly. Qian Daoliu bore Chu Chen no open hostility. Even if he had, Chu Chen was confident he could retreat if needed. Behind him now stood more than just the Silver Dragon King and Di Tian, also the god of destruction and the goddess of life. Try to kill me and see what happens, he thought. You are also on the path of divine legacy. How do you see that path? Dalu pressed. Chu Chen hesitated only a moment before answering seriously. It's difficult, but there are many great paths in the world that amount to the same truth. Every Tao should fulfill its duty, including the duties carried by those who hold divine legacies. Dalu's expression tightened. Are you saying that, as the representative of the angel god, I have ignored the suffering of this world and failed to save the people of the Douluo continent? Chu Chen's silence said what words would have made explicit. Dalu smiled bitterly. In that sense, perhaps I am guilty, but I had no other way. All I could do was help younger Shui complete the angel god's legacy. He straightened, resuming the imposing bearing of a leader, and fixed Chu Chen with a searching look. Then, what do you think of the current Douluo continent? It needs unification, one that even Spirit Hall cannot prevent, Chu Chen said bluntly. Dalu frowned. To unify the continent there must be war, but Spirit Hall's legacy cannot simply be discarded, and that creates a contradiction. Chu Chen met his gaze steadily. If Spirit Hall stands in the way of unifying the continent in the future, I will not hesitate to act. This is the torrent of the times, something Spirit Hall's long-founded traditions cannot hold back. To say that in front of Dalu required courage, but Dalu did not move to strike. He knew he could not kill Chu Chen without provoking far greater powers, the gods that stood behind him, greater than even the angel god. Even regarding younger Shui? Dalu asked quietly. Even then, Chu Chen answered, I don't want it to come to that. No one can stop me, but I promised her. Even if the continent is unified, Spirit Hall could continue to exist as a sect, Chu Chen said. But before that, Spirit Hall must pay for the wrongs it has done over the years. Chu Chen cupped his fists and smiled faintly. Senior, I have matters to attend to. If there is a chance, I will visit you in Spirit City, Dalu interrupted. He nodded and allowed Chu Chen to go. After they parted, he murmured, more to himself than anyone else. The Clear Sky sect is destroyed. Tang Chen has become what he is. Our era has passed. This continent will ultimately belong to your generation. I only hope the angel god's legacy remains unbroken and that you can take care of younger Shui. The group reassembled. Seeing that Chu Chen and Dalu had parted without bloodshed, Chuer and Qian Renshui both breathed easier. With the Clear Sky sect gone, there was no reason to linger. Xiao Shui, come back to the Elder Hall with me, Dalu offered again. Qian Renshui nodded. After they bade farewell to Chu Chen and his companions, she left with him for Spirit City. Chu Chen turned to Du Gubo. Old poison, let's go to the ice and fire yin-yang well. All right, Du Gubo replied without question, and he led the way. They traveled fast, but the distance from the Clear Sky sect to the Sunset Forest was long, and it took them a full day to reach the edge of the forest. Here. Chuer trailed off. Why is there the Dragon Clan aura here? She asked, her face tightening. She had sensed fluctuations, the remnant resonance of the ice and fire dragon kings who had fallen here. The news Chu Chen had already told her, that both great dragon kings had perished here, shifted something in her. Her pace quickened as she urged Chu Chen onward, desperate to find the exact spot. With her golden dragon bloodline, she was hypersensitive to the dragon clan's unique resonance. Before them, the familiar ice and fire yin-yang well appeared. It's been a long time since I was here, Du Gubo grumbled as they approached. Why does it feel like there are more weeds than before? Chapter 173, Dragonbone reshapes Dragon Spear, Chu Chen receives the Dragon King's blessing. Chu Chen stood dazed for a moment, staring at Du Gubo in disbelief. The plants that could grow here were likely as rare and valuable as medicinal treasures. Chu Chen, are those the remains of the ice and fire dragon kings down below? Chuer asked. Yes. Chu Chen's voice carried a trace of regret. But the two elders fell long ago. Not even a complete dragon soul remains. After giving Du Gubo a few instructions, Chu Chen released a supreme life aura and led Chuer into the ice and fire yin-yang well. The well could no longer harm him, and under his protection, Chuer could directly enter its deepest reaches. This power is so dense, ordinary people, even a titled Douluo, would find it hard to remain here, Chuer marveled as they descended. In this pure space, every kind of power felt insubstantial and elusive. Those with unstable minds could easily lose control of their own strength. They dove deeper and finally reached the Dragon King's remains again. The bones seemed to sense Chu Chen and emitted a faint response. Entering here again has actually pushed my 27 toward a breakthrough. I'm one step closer to level 80, Chu Chen murmured as he felt the surging 7 within him. The breakthrough to level 80 should happen soon, so he took the opportunity to cultivate diligently. Chuer's expression grew complicated as she approached the snow-white rib bones of the two great Dragon Kings. She reached out and touched them. At that moment, Chu Chen watched in surprise as one rib fell from each skeleton and the two ribs fused together, taking the precise shape of a weapon. It seems the two elders knew what we needed, Chu Chen said, bowing respectfully toward the remains. He wrapped the power in his body around the twin ribs. Chuer, fuse your essence blood into it. Chuer didn't hesitate. A single drop of her blood fell onto the bones, and they were instantly bathed in brilliant golden light. A vague silhouette of a golden dragon coiled within the glow. Chu Chen focused, drawing upon that mental power containing the souls of thousands of dragons to help Chuer condense the weapon. After a long while, a 6 materialized in Chuer's hand. Her face lit with excitement. The weapon thrummed with formidable might. Forged from true dragon bone, it carried bloodline power. It was an extremely potent armament. Thank you, elders, Chuer said, bowing. Chu Chen and Chuer prepared to leave the deepest part of the well, not wishing to disturb the Dragon Kings further. Suddenly, fragments of dragon bone coalesced out of thin air, turning into pure energy that surged directly into Chu Chen's body. He was startled, then relieved when he found his body unharmed. Yet he couldn't sense the nature of the power the bones had become. Why couldn't he detect it or use it? What is this? Chu Chen wondered, puzzled. It felt like a blessing from the Ice and Fire Dragon Kings, but its form and use eluded him. Chuer couldn't explain it either. I suppose we'll have to wait and understand it later, Chu Chen sighed. They left together. Back on the shore of the well, they rested briefly. Stimulated by the well's power, Chuer's 27 actually showed signs of a breakthrough to level 60. She's about to break through? Chu Chen was pleasantly surprised. Chuer's realm was advancing faster than expected, perhaps an innate trait of an emperor auspicious beast. Chuer entered seclusion to stabilize her breakthrough. Douluo walked over, curious, carrying a bottle of fine wine he usually kept hidden here. Tell me, Chu Chen, where did you pick up this little girl? Her talent is incredible, and her bloodline is terrifying. Chu Chen smiled. Do you remember that little creature I captured in the Stardew Great Forest to threaten Bear Lord with? Douluo went silent, stunned. He remembered that little creature well. If Chu Chen hadn't caught it, Bear Lord's sky-ripping claw might have torn them apart long ago. He had never imagined that Chuer was the three-eyed golden lion from that day. Elsewhere, in Spirit City, deep within the secret chamber of the Supreme Pontiff Palace, Bibidong brooded. The Clear Sky sect had been destroyed. What remained were nothing but failures. Time and again, they had failed to kill a mere spirit saint. Bibidong's body was sheathed in eerie 20 armor, and her lower half had already transformed into something Rakshasa-like, grotesque and fearsome. Her once delicate face had given way to a cruel, evil visage. Rakshasa god, do you have any way to kill him? She asked. She had expected the Slaughter King to end Chu Chen easily, but even he had failed. That damned god of destruction, he truly intends to protect him, Bibidong ground out through clenched teeth. There is no way, unless I let my true body be directly annihilated by the god of destruction's descent. The only way to slay him is for you to make me a god as soon as possible. Beneath divinity, all are ants. Bibidong knew this. She plunged herself into a pool of blood-red water and cultivated her Rakshasa power, preparing to ascend. Then this war will begin its prologue. I want this entire continent to belong to me, and everyone will bow. She laughed wildly as she plotted to set the realm ablaze. The Wind Sword sect aided that girl Qian Renshui. I'll start with them. Qian Renshui is just a slip of a girl. How can she hope to contend with me? At that moment, Qian Renshui was in the Elder Hall, witnessing the silhouette of the angel god and understanding, in a cold clarity, the overwhelming might of divinity. Back in the Sunset Forest, Chuer opened her eyes. Chu Chen, I've broken through to level 60. she announced, showing him the fluctuations in her 27. Chu Chen was genuinely happy for her. Since they were in the Sunset Forest, finding a suitable sixth third for her shouldn't be difficult, so the three of them set out at once. Chu had chosen to take human form, which meant she still had to follow human cultivation methods and hunt spirit beasts to increase her strength, even as an emperor auspicious beast. And Chu Chen had not forgotten his promise. He still intended to find a 21 for Douluo. Chapter 174, External Soul Bone, Ice and Fire Dragon Wings. After a short search, Chu Chen killed a Dragon Clan spirit beast with 30,000 years of cultivation as a gift for Chu. While Chu was absorbing the soul bone, Douluo, who had been nearby, suddenly froze like he'd discovered something unbelievable. I didn't expect to actually encounter it here. Douluo's voice trembled with shock. Chu Chen stepped forward. Old poison, what is it? I found something extraordinary. Douluo pointed to the ground a short distance away. A puddle of dark green slime clung to the earth, faintly glowing. Chu Chen, who knew a fair bit about spirit beasts, recognized it instantly. This a Medusa? Medusa were a very unusual breed, hybrids between humans and snake-type spirit beasts from ancient times, intelligent and frighteningly powerful. They were extremely rare. Douluo had once possessed a Medusa skull bone when he was young, and he hadn't expected to run into one again now. I've studied the Medusa spirit beast, Douluo said. This one's cultivation has definitely reached the 100,000-year level. The slime's ink-dark green is a sure sign of its high level. He could barely hide his excitement. Though he no longer needed soul bones for survival, if he could obtain the Medusa's final torso soul bone, his cultivation would make a huge leap, almost certainly pushing him up to rank 98. At that level, challengers across the continent would be few and far between. Let's go. Chu Chen decided quickly and began tracking the slime with Douluo. Chu would take some time to finish absorbing the soul bone, so Chu Chen released the Blue-Silver Emperor to wrap her in layered protection before heading off. A Medusa had human-level intelligence. If they delayed, it might escape. As they moved, Chu Chen suddenly asked, Old poison, do you think Douluo could absorb this 100,000-year soul bone? There's no doubt the Medusa's soul bone would be extremely compatible with her, Douluo replied. Chu Chen remembered that before they had gone to the Clear Sky sect, Douluo's cultivation had been close to rank 60, absorbing a 100,000-year spirit ring, or soul bone, as her sixth attachment would be risky but not impossible. If the chance existed, he thought, they shouldn't let such a resource go to waste. Douluo hesitated. Douluo's body was tough, but a 100,000-year level absorption could be dangerous. Chu Chen added, my ultimate life aura can assist her. Otherwise, this 100,000-year soul bone will just go to waste. With Chu Chen's assurance, Douluo fell silent. Seeing his agreement, Chu Chen said, then go back and bring Douluo. I'll handle this Medusa. An ordinary 100,000-year spirit beast was not a match for Chu Chen's current strength, so Douluo felt relieved and turned to leave. At that moment, Chu finished absorbing her soul bone and rose to the rank of Spirit Emperor. When Chu Chen explained the plan, Chu thought for a moment and agreed. Sorry, Chu Chen said apologetically. This Medusa's soul bone is particularly compatible with old poison. You're the Emperor Auspicious Beast. I didn't want to bring you along. Taking the Emperor Auspicious Beast into a hunt felt wrong to him. Chu carried the luck of all soul beasts. Chu's tone was soft when she replied, humans' hunting of spirit beasts has never stopped. But you are different. The help you've given our Soul Beast clan isn't something a single 100,000-year soul bone could make up for. Even if the Lord and Uncle Ditian were here, they'd agree. Chu Chen nodded, and the two of them tracked the Medusa together. The Medusa's movements are strange, Chu Chen observed as they followed the traces. It didn't look like a usual patrol route, more like a panicked flight. Blue-Silver Domain. In the Sunset Forest, Blue-Silver Emperors grew everywhere. Thanks to his sensory resonance with them, Chu Chen locked onto the Medusa's location and took to the air. Before long, he arrived at a huge cave where the ink-like slime gathered thicker and thicker. Boom! A pair of emerald green eyes snapped open. A massive figure began to crawl from the cave. In the dim light, Chu Chen could only make out its sheer size. Up close, it was an injured Medusa. She looked exhausted and weak, but the ferocity in her gaze hadn't lessened one bit. "Human, you tracked me all this way. Are you looking for death?" The Medusa hissed in human tongue. Her seductive stare swept over Chu Chen, trying to petrify him, but Chu Chen met her eyes calmly, entirely unaffected. The Medusa froze, astonished that the apparently spirit saint human resisted her petrifying gaze. "How is this possible? You're injured," Chu Chen said evenly. "Your combat power's less than 10%. You're no match for me." He didn't rush in to attack. The Medusa gave no reply, but she was gathering a powerful energy attack, an energy beam that fractured and reflected like a mirror, refracting in space before streaking straight toward Chu Chen and Chuer. Chu Chen was about to call out the blue-silver emperor when a scorching, terrifying force suddenly surged through him, bursting from his back. Boom! Dragon might erupted. Chu Chen didn't understand what was happening at first, but he felt something form behind him. Under Chuer's stunned gaze, a pair of dragon wings condensed from behind him, one half blazing with ultimate flame, the other half frozen in absolute ice. The two elements intertwined in a single impossible set of wings. "What is this?" Chu Chen was stunned. The sensation wasn't that of a spirit skill. It felt like a material manifestation, like a soul bone. Better yet, an external soul bone. An external soul bone? This must be the opportunity the Ice and Fire Dragon Kings gave me. Chu Chen hadn't expected that. After only going to help Chuer forge a weapon, he would receive such a rare boon, an external soul bone. "These Ice and Fire Dragon Wings radiate immense power," Chuer explained. "Chu Chen, this is a blessing bestowed upon you by the Ice and Fire Dragon Kings." Chapter 175, The Azure Phosphorus Serpent King evolves into a dragon, peak level 98. The Ice and Fire Dragon Wings gave Chu Chen an enormous boost. Although he could condense dragon wings with a spirit ability, they were nowhere near as potent as the Ice and Fire Dragon Wings. Those wings brought more than raw attack power. They granted incredible speed. Even without using teleportation, Chu Chen now moved as fast as the strongest warriors in the Spirit Douluo world. Red and blue light wrapped around him. In an instant, he reappeared in front of Medusa, and stalks of blue-silver emperor erupted from the ground, binding her in place. Wounded as she was, Medusa's proud techniques couldn't touch him. The power of destiny combined with the ultimate life energy made Chu Chen immune to her energy-based attacks. Terrified, Medusa's snake hair lashed out again and again, but couldn't land a blow. Chu Chen's power of destiny and the ultimate destruction lightning kept forcing her back. Her wounds deepened, and she spat a mouthful of blood. She was about to collapse. "Chu Chen, let me!" Chuer released her own power of destiny. Though only a spirit emperor, her power to suppress spirit beasts was formidable. With Chu Chen and Chuer working together, Medusa was quickly defeated, her life force drained away fast. "Chu Chen, can Yana really absorb a 100,000-year spirit ring?" Douluo asked anxiously. He knew too well how overwhelming a ring of that age could be. "If you don't try, it'll just go to waste," Chu Chen said. Chu Chen condensed ultimate life aura through the blue-silver emperor and, using the blue-silver domain's unique properties, poured it into Douluo. The blue-silver domain significantly increased her endurance. Facing a 100,000-year spirit ring, she was still nervous, but trusting Chu Chen, she began the absorption. The most dangerous phase passed with Chu Chen's help. Now all she needed was time for the spirit ring to complete its fusion. Chu Chen handed a shimmering piece of bone taken from Medusa, the torso bone, to Douluo. "This resonates with you," he said. "The head and torso bones are the most important. After you absorb it, you might push for level 99. Douluo's excitement was barely suppressed. "Level 99 isn't easy," he said, but he started absorbing the bone at once. "Chu Chen, I'll leave Yaner to you." With Douluo safely in Chu Chen's care, he entered his own trial state. He met the goddess of life again. He'd been slaughtered countless times during this trial before, but this time the goddess showed no killing intent. She was gentle. "Chu Chen, you have done well," she said softly. Chu Chen forced a wry smile. "Senior, you being so gentle makes me a little uncomfortable," he said. He had been massacred relentlessly during this trial in the past. An embarrassed expression crossed the goddess of life's face. During that time, it was actually Xiao Zi who disguised himself as me to carry out the trial, she confessed. Chu Chen stared. So the god of destruction had been impersonating the goddess of life and slaughtering him over and over? He wanted to curse but held back. Then suddenly, a figure appeared beside the goddess. "Are you cursing me?" the god of destruction asked, looking at Chu Chen. Back in the real world, Chiur saw Chu Chen cry out strangely, then collapse to the ground in pain as his body crackled with energy. He swore loudly, "That bastard god of destruction!" Several hours later, a majestic aura burst from Douluo's body, condensing into a jade-green pillar of light that shot into the sky. The massive jade phosphor serpent circled overhead, and to Chu Chen and Chiur's astonishment, the serpent had grown a pair of sharp, dragon-like claws. A roar split the air, carrying a faint trace of dragon majesty. The jade phosphor serpent was showing clear signs of evolving into a dragon. "That's a Jiao!" someone shouted. Old Poison's jade phosphor serpent is evolving, a Jiao transforming toward dragonhood. Chu Chen's eyes brightened. For Douluo, this was earth-shaking. The transformation signaled that he had reached the peak of level 98. He hadn't leapt straight to 99, but this evolution laid the foundation. He was sure to break into 99 soon. "We can go destroy Slaughter City after this," Chu Chen said. Douluo descended as if reborn, laughing and pulling Chu Chen into a hearty embrace. "Ha, Chu Chen, I thank you. I never thought I'd reach 98 peak in my lifetime, and my jade phosphor serpent has even started to evolve." "Ha! Refreshing!" Douluo whooped. Chu Chen and Chiur exchanged smiles. Both carried Dragon Clan blood, and they both knew that when Douluo finally hit level 99, his jade phosphor serpent might complete its evolution into a true dragon. Just then, news came from Douluo. She had successfully absorbed the 100,000-year spirit ring. Her cultivation leaped to 64. She was now a spirit emperor-level expert. Chapter 176. Xiaogang remained silent, only relentlessly tearing at the sky with his claws. Outside Slaughter City. "Chu Chen, Slaughter City carries a special 32 influence. We won't be able to use spirit abilities there. How do you plan to deal with that?" After all the preparations were finished, Chu Chen began laying out his plan to destroy Slaughter City. This was one of his trials. Douluo's combat strength had already reached the peak of rank 98, and Chu Chen himself was on the verge of entering the spirit Douluo realm. His martial soul fusion with Chiur had also grown much stronger since Chiur had become a spirit emperor. "My domain of destruction can completely negate Slaughter City's influence," Chu Chen said, repeating what the god of destruction had told him. "As long as you don't leave the range of my domain of destruction, nothing will interfere." "I see." Douluo nodded. He wasn't afraid of Slaughter City, but he was curious about what kind of reinforcements Chu Chen had managed to bring. "The Slaughter King has many experts under him. We can combine forces to take down the Slaughter King, but if other spirit Douluo or even titled Douluo appear, we'll need more allies," Chu Chen finished. Among them, only Douluo was a titled Douluo and Chu Chen a spirit saint. Ye Lingling, Douluo, and Chiur were all spirit emperors. On the surface, Slaughter City might seem to have only the Slaughter King as its top-tier fighter, but they all knew the city could hide terrible surprises. Chiur smiled playfully. "Sometimes borrowing the power behind us is the most reasonable choice." Boom! A massive figure tore through space, his whole body bursting with dark golden light. Everyone's expressions changed the instant they saw who it was. "Why him again? This isn't that." Douluo instantly remembered the terror of being hunted by the Bear Lord in the Star Do Great Forest. Sure enough, the helper Chiur had invited was none other than the Bear Lord. He radiated immense pressure and looked down on everyone, though he no longer bore much hostility toward Chu Chen. After all, Chu Chen's current status in the Soul Beast clan was far too high. The Bear Lord wasn't a fool. If he picked a fight he couldn't win, even the Silver Dragon King or Tian wouldn't spare him. "There's also Big Sister Emerald Swan," Chiur added. Following Chiur's gaze, they saw the Emerald Swan glide over on light steps, smiling gently. "Senior Emerald Swan," Ye Lingling stepped forward to greet her. "Chiur told us everything. A place like Slaughter City shouldn't exist. We're here to help," the Emerald Swan said softly. Chu Chen's confidence swelled. With fighters like the Bear Lord and Emerald Swan on their side, the plan to destroy Slaughter City felt almost guaranteed. Thank you, seniors. Chu Chen cupped his fists. They had arrived above Slaughter City. Fortunately, there was no one around. Otherwise, the Bear Lord's arrival would have caused a panic. Let's open a passage. We're not here to be polite, Chu Chen said, already gathering his 27 to strike. Before he could finish, the Bear Lord roared. A terrifying dark golden light burst from his claws. With one swipe, he tore through the void realm, forcing a rift in the ground beneath them. Sky-ripping claw! The Bear Lord didn't speak. He kept using sky-ripping claw. Boom! With a thunderous boom, the group was instantly transported into the space where Slaughter City sat. Chu Chen immediately deployed his domain of destruction, and with their stacked buffs and the 32 countered, everyone became immune to Slaughter City's spirit ability prohibition. Humph. As expected, it's a foul place. Sky-ripping claw. The Bear Lord swung again. The dark golden claw slammed into Slaughter City's massive walls and tore them down instantly. Fallen knights who tried to block them were blasted into fragments by that single, overwhelming blow. Again, sky-ripping claw. Chu Chen and the others stared in disbelief. Did the Bear Lord have no cooldown on his ultimate? Did he have an infinite energy bar? This Senior Bear Lord is something else, Chu Chen said with a rueful smile. He's always been like this, Chua replied, holding the 7. But in battle, Uncle Bear Lord's style is necessary. Whoever faces him, Detian included, has to take a sky-ripping claw from him at some point. Now that spirit abilities could be used safely, they executed the plan. Chua Ye-Lingling, Duguyan, and the Emerald Swan charged into Slaughter City. Anyone they encountered, 20 or Fallen Knight alike, would be killed on sight. Chu Chen, the Bear Lord, and Dugu Bo focused on the city's high-level combatants, beginning with the Slaughter King. Roar, a long, furious cry, announced the Slaughter King's arrival. He streaked over in a flash of blood-colored light. His injuries had already healed. Seeing Chu Chen, killing intent condensed into bloody light in his scarlet pupils. You again! Boom! The Slaughter King swung a blood-colored heavy hammer, sending 1,000 layers of blood waves roaring through the sky. His 27 was malicious, cold, and bloody. The Bear Lord didn't bother to exchange words. He used Sky-Ripping Claw once more. The golden claw ripped through the blood waves and even left dark golden scars on the Slaughter King's heavy hammer. Dugu Bo and Chu Chen seized the opening to press the attack. You dare fight me in Slaughter City! The Slaughter King bellowed. You seek death! Confident on his own turf, he believed he couldn't lose. Boom! After absorbing several blows, massive blood-colored wings unfurled from the Slaughter King. His speed climbed with each beating layer, and he surged forward to strike Chu Chen. Chu Chen slipped past him in an instant. Ice and Fire Dragon Wings! Flashing through the air, Chu Chen thrust out the Destruction Dragon Spear as a dragon shadow roared. Medusa Torso Bone Skill, solidify all things. Dugubo's chest shone as he released his newly acquired Torso Bone Skill. Invisible ripples radiated outward from him as the center. The Slaughter King's killing intent, his 27, and even the shockwaves were petrified by Dugubo's effect. What? The Slaughter King faltered, stunned. Before him loomed the sky-ripping claw, surrounded by dark golden light. The Bear Lord treated Sky-Ripping Claw like a basic strike, tearing through space and swatting the Slaughter King aside. Chu Chen hovered in mid-air, summoning the Scepter of Destruction as 6 manifested in his hand. Holding both the Scepter of Destruction and the Destruction Dragon Spear, the twin super divine artifacts complemented one another. A bolt of lightning surged forward, locking onto the Slaughter King, ready to obliterate him. As the 2 super divine artifacts Chu Chen wielded, the Scepter of Destruction and the Destruction Dragon Spear, shared the same source of power, the ultimate will of destruction. Their energies fused perfectly. The scepter hovered before him like a living power source for the spear, constantly gathering momentum for the assault. Boom! The Slaughter King swung his massive hammer, swatting aside the crackling destructive lightning. He rose into the air, and the ultimate killing intent behind him coalesced into hideous, vengeful spirits. Within those phantasms flickered the blood-colored figure of the 9-headed Bat King. The spirits scattered in all directions, carrying an eroding will. These vengeful spirits must be formed from the condensed souls of the fallen, Douluo muttered. Chu Chen's face stayed expressionless. He released the blue-silver domain. Under its purifying influence, the surrounding vengeful spirits dissipated. Inside Slaughter City, Chiwer and Douluo, fighting together for the first time, moved with uncanny coordination. With Ye Lingling's help, the three shared a mental link, one of Ye Lingling's head spirit bone techniques. They acted as if of one mind. Ye Lingling fed instant information between them and provided buffs and healing. Watch out! Chiwer spun around as snarling, vengeful spirits charged, but at the critical moment, Emerald Swan appeared and struck them down with pure life energy. Though Emerald Swan's combat ability was said to be limited, her high cultivation made shredding this swarm of minor spirits easy. With Emerald Swan protecting them and Ye Lingling sharing support, the three were in little danger. One Emerald Swan and one Nine-Heart Begonia between them made survival almost guaranteed. You all deserve to die, but my Slaughter City has a powerful foundation. It is not something you can shake, the Slaughter King snarled. I can draw on the power of this place at will. His smile warped as he whistled his massive hammer in a swing. On his home turf, his strength was near its peak. He's drawing power from the magma below, Douluo observed. Chu Chen coldly produced an item he had brought from the ice and fire yin-yang well, the immortal herb Snowy Swan's Kiss. With a casual toss, he let it fall toward the molten crimson beneath the Slaughter King's feet. It sank into the blood-colored magma and vanished. The Slaughter King noticed nothing, assuming Chu Chen was merely putting on a show. This isn't magma, it's human blood, Chu Chen said softly to Douluo. It's also the most important energy source of Slaughter City, the poison that sustains this depravity, Bloody Mary. Douluo fell silent, a deeper hatred for Slaughter City appearing in his eyes. How many had to die to form so much blood? Even the usually brutal Bear King frowned at Chu Chen's words. Heh, I didn't expect you to actually know about Bloody Mary, the Slaughter King said, amusement curling his tone into a cruel invitation. Why not drink a cup and share this throne with me? Before Chu Chen could answer, Bear King's roar cut him off. What are you babbling about? Sky-ripping claw! Bear King attacked. Chu Chen and Douluo surged forward to press the Slaughter King. With the Scepter of Destruction as its power source, the Destruction Dragon Spear became more terrifying. One thrust sent a beam of annihilating light. Boom! The blood-colored giant hammer trembled under the force. Facing attacks from three foes was no small thing. Slaughter feast, the Slaughter King cried. The magma under his feet boiled into towering pillars of fire that shaped into a hideous giant beast. It lunged at Bear King just as the Slaughter King swung his hammer straight at Chu Chen. Hammer and spear met in a thunderous clash. The impact knocked Chu Chen back. In raw strength, he was currently weaker than the Slaughter King, and the hammer itself was the Clear Sky Hammer. Jade Phosphor Divine Light. Douluo gathered a vast amount of spiritual chi and projected it as a thin line that instantly bloomed into a torrential beam. It smashed into the Slaughter King's assault and interrupted it. Bear King and Chu Chen flashed forward together. Bear King's claws shimmered with dark golden light, while Chu Chen's spear crackled with black-purple lightning. Boom. Forced back, the Slaughter King staggered as Chu Chen unleashed a roaring long dragon from the spear. The Destruction Dragon Spear surged in power, its piercing force threatening to rend space itself. Chu Chen also activated his Mountain Dragon King Spirit Bone technique, Gravity Control. With a single spear strike, the Slaughter King was driven down into the layers of crimson below. Is that all? This Slaughter King is nothing special, Bear King sneered, watching the depths with contempt. Still, his hands continued to gather brilliant dark golden light. He could sense the Slaughter King's aura persisting and even intensifying. Be careful. He hasn't used the Asura Demon Sword yet, Chu Chen warned, eyes fixed on the magma. Rushing in for a finish here would be reckless. Chu Chen held position, ready to strike again at a moment's notice. Last time it was only the Silver Dragon King's spear that subdued him, Douluo reminded him. This time he's on home ground in Slaughter City. The surroundings suddenly trembled violently. A crimson magma vortex rose from the blood below. Within it, the Slaughter King reappeared, clasping the Asura Demon Sword. His wounds had vanished, His aura was stronger than before. "What intoxicating power!" the Slaughter King murmured as Bloody Mary bathed him, making him appear like a god of slaughter descended to earth. He absorbed the energy in Bloody Mary. His slaughtering essence has strengthened and is condensing onto the Asura demon sword, Chu Chen said, frowning as he retrieved the scepter and the spear. Chu Chen had expected the Slaughter King to drink from Bloody Mary. That was precisely why he'd planted the Snowy Swan's kiss earlier. He only needed a little more time. Once the herb triggered the toxins in Bloody Mary, the Slaughter King would weaken and die of his own accord. "He'll die on his own," Chu Chen said with a small, cold smile. "Who cares? Watch your big brother bear tear him to pieces. Dark golden dreadclaw, sky-ripping claw." Bear King shouted and surged forward again, Chu Chen and Douluo right behind him. Chu Chen no longer held back. He unleashed the Domain of Destruction and the Blue-Silver Domain at once and activated the Great Desolation Scripture, pushing his power to the limit. Destruction Verdict. Chapter 178, Solid Soul Power Condensation. Chu Chen condenses the prototype of the Soul Core. Chu Chen gripped the Scepter of Destruction and the Destruction Dragon Spear at the same time. The resonance between the two artifacts grew stronger and stronger until they seemed to overlap and fuse in his hands. Destruction Verdict. The Destruction Verdict descended like a world-shaking thunderbolt. In that instant, Chu Chen converted ultimate life into ultimate destruction through the combined might of the two super-divine artifacts. The resulting ultimate will of destruction was born, an attack far beyond Chu Chen's current realm, powerful enough to threaten a titled Douluo. "Slaughter Annihilation," the Slaughter King rasped. The blood-red light in his eyes flared, and a 1,000-foot wave of crimson radiance rose behind him, the manifest killing intent of the Bloody Mary. He raised the Asura demon sword and swept it forward, the blood-colored sword light carved through space, collapsing everything in its path. Boom! Bear Lord's dark golden claws met the blood-red sword light. Even with the combined defense of Bear Lord and Douluo, both were injured, especially Bear Lord, who had charged to the front. A bloody gash split his arm. The Asura demon sword's power was tyrannical, overflowing with killing intent. After all, it was a super-divine artifact. "Bear Lord," the Emerald Swan cried, and she released a sky-filling emerald light that descended over him. The wound healed before their eyes. Bear Lord clenched his fists as if newly restored to the fight. Being struck by the Slaughter King had enraged him beyond concealment. Violent light burned in his eyes. "Roar," Bear Lord growled, eyes bright. "What terrifying recovery. Fortunately, Chu Chen has good relations with the Soul Beast clan. If a large-scale war broke out, one Emerald Swan could change the entire course of battle," Douluo said with a sigh. The Soul Beasts secluded in the heart of the Stardew Great Forest were more formidable than before. Even if all of modern humanity gathered their forces, they would be hard-pressed to stand against the Soul Beast clan. Their foundation was simply too terrifying, with powerful existences everywhere. "All of you shall become nourishment for my slaughter city," the Slaughter King roared. He swung with all his might to block Chu Chen's destruction verdict, but another destructive impact met him from the Destruction Dragon Spear. "It's you! I'm going to kill you!" the Slaughter King howled, pain twisting his face. Chu Chen's voice was cold. "Screw you! What grudge do I have with you?" Boom! Chu Chen repelled the Slaughter King with a single spear strike. The Eye of Destiny on Chu Chen's forehead opened, connecting with Chuer's power of destiny. The two merged instantly, awakening their Martial Soul Fusion skill. Martial Soul Fusion skill, Arrival of Fate. Chuer sensed Chu Chen needed her. She descended through the sky, joining with him in Martial Soul Fusion. The scepter appeared behind Chu Chen, and in his hands he now held both Chuer's contribution and the Destruction Dragon Spear. Bear Lord and the Emerald Swan stood stunned. Detian and the Silver Dragon King had never mentioned that Chuer could perform Martial Soul Fusion with Chu Chen. The scene left them dazed. "Chuer and him truly share a destiny," the Emerald Swan murmured, smiling faintly. She studied Chu Chen, now clad in golden dragon armor, and then returned to Du Guyan and Ye Lingling. With her help, sweeping through Slaughter City would be no problem. Chuer had achieved a breakthrough to Spirit Emperor, and as a result, Chu Chen's strength surged. Their martial soul fusion skills' power had grown dramatically. The terrifying aura that now surged even drew the Slaughter King's attention. 6 black rings and 3 red ones, the spirit ring configuration born of their fusion, filled the sky. All 6 10,000-year spirit rings came from Chuer. The 3 red 100,000-year spirit rings were Chu Chen's. Just looking at that configuration, one could call him a titled Douluo. Roar! Slaughter City space trembled violently as the manifestation of ultimate power descended. An ancient dragon avatar, weathered with an aura of antiquity, slowly lowered into the area. Chu Chen's second spirit, the Destruction Ancient Dragon avatar. Destruction Dragon God Judgment. Chu Chen condensed his most powerful strike. The 9 spirit rings beneath his feet boiled and burned, channeling all their power into this single blow. He unleashed the full will of destruction and the power of destiny together. The Destruction Dragon Spear and Chuer's contribution merged perfectly in his hands, integrating their powers to the utmost degree. In a flash, he teleported before the Slaughter King and swept his spear. The penetrating force sent vibrations through the Slaughter King's body. Even against the Asura Demon Sword's offense, Chu Chen's strike was overwhelmingly powerful. The Destruction Ancient Dragon avatar exhaled a dragon breath, its colossal wings unfolding to blot out the sky. The spear strike hurled the Slaughter King more than 10,000 meters. For the moment, the Asura Demon Sword was suppressed. It slipped from his grasp. Under Chu Chen's absolute control, the Destruction Dragon Spear spun and spun until its power condensed space itself into a near-solidified soul energy condensation, the embryo of a soul core. That solid core spun at high speed within Chu Chen's body, amplifying his control over soul energy to terrifying levels. "Is this the embryo of a soul core?" Chu Chen shouted in exhilaration. He had poured everything into that strike. Its power stunned everyone into silence. With a thunderous roar, the Destruction Dragon Spear cut a dazzling rainbow across the sky, crossing thousands of meters in an instant. Everything in its path, fallen enemies in Slaughter City, the fallen knights, even buildings, turned to ash. Asura slaughter! The Slaughter King staggered, swinging the Asura demon sword as if he could still fight to the death. Suddenly he spat blood. The power in his body spasmed wildly. The toxins of the Bloody Mary had finally fully erupted. You poisoned me." The Slaughter King realized too late, his whole body going numb. Was it the white medicinal herb from before? As Chu Chen's attack closed in, he forced the power of the Asura demon sword to block it, but it was futile. The poison had already spread deep within him, and the snowy swan kiss had triggered the toxins to erupt completely.